Yeah. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, there's no way you don't wear more than 10 shirts a month.
Maybe 12. Morning, Rick. KW. Jeff. Morning. You know, Mark touched upon something late there. You know, Felipe, you don't have any of these concerns now, and maybe you never will.
Can you see that, David?
Yes. Now, I will say, when I saw it on my phone, I was able to read the print in white. But
I saw that, KW.
I did.
Oh, no.
Yep.
I don't know if that vaults over the line or not. I usually don't do death in the good, the bad, and the ugly. I try to stay away from people dying.
It's hard, though.
It's too bad you're not coming back here, because I should have had you get me an A&M shirt so I could have gone as Jimbo.
Oh.
Just put the hair back and just looked at everybody and said, we're done.
The only way we will go to A&M this year, if LSU beats Alabama, then we may end up doing LSU at A&M instead of the Iron Bowl, because LSU may have to win that game to win the West. Otherwise,
I really want. Do you want Jimbo to go 5-5 or 6-6 and have to play in a really bad bowl game?
if I was A&M, I might just say no.
Can't.
One year ago, I sold my college career and started working here.
It was a year ago today?
It was a year ago today I started working here.
So we were on the air 2 weeks, basically.
Mm-hmm.
because I believe we started on the 13th.
You had Raj for 2 weeks.
Felipe, make sure you get a play.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, Adam.
Here, it's just TV. Hang on, so there's going to be some noise, David. Just bear with me.
For 4 minutes to play here in the first.
Nope, not playing that.
15 seconds.
Is that Leah Hextall?
I thought Kessel got his 400th in the Iron Man game. Thought that would be a good clip to play.
Right. Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day. Bud Elliott, a little more than an hour. Seth Everett, a little bit later today. Turns out Jeff Pearlman, if you heard one of our promos and you heard us talking about it yesterday, Jeff Pearlman will be a week from today. Apparently the book came out yesterday. He's got a book tour all through the state of Alabama. I thought we were getting them before the tour. Apparently we're getting them right after the tour. So there. Final day of the tour, Mark, I think, is when we get them. His final book.
Hello, Mobile. Oh, sorry.
Something like that. Right. He did send a tweet out last night, something along the lines of, he's got a 4-day, tour stop throughout the state of Alabama. It's because he's written a book about Bo Jackson, kind of a popular guy in the state. I mean, even Alabama fans like Bo Jackson.
Now.
Right. It's been enough time. It's been almost 40 years. Now. They saw what he went on to and went, wow.
How did we not get him?
Well, but also, if you're going to get beat by somebody, that's who you want to get beat by right there. So Jeff Pearlman will join us a week from today here on Miller and Moulton. Did you see the story? They fired a basketball coach yesterday.
But in Manhattan, right?
In Manhattan. Fran Fraschilla was once the head coach at Manhattan in the mid-'90s. Actually got an at-large berth with the Jaspers of Manhattan. Don't know if they're still the Jaspers or not, but they went like 29-4 one year in like 95, and he got an at-large berth and won a game in the tournament at Manhattan. And they have a Rick Pitino disciple, or at least they did, named Steve Masiello. And if that name sounds even remotely familiar, it's because 7 years ago, he was hired by South Florida. He had taken Manhattan to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. I don't know if he won a game or not, but he was, one of those hot young coaches on the rise, and South Florida grabbed him. And then a few days later, they had to let him go because it turns out he didn't have a degree. He was like 1 or 2 classes short. But he said on his resume, the BA. And when it was, in fact, BS. See what I did there?
I did.
So South Florida walked away from it, in which I got to be honest with you, he was that close. My thought is, well, it's during the spring and summer. Why can't he take the 1 or 2 classes at South Florida? And he'll have his degree before the season starts, right? I mean, if you liked him that much. So, but anyway, he goes back to Manhattan, and what does he do? He takes his 1 or 2 classes, and he had his degree by August. But he stays at Manhattan. He does 7 more years, and they've struggled a little bit, but they were going to be really good this year, Mark. Preseason player of the year in the conference, picked coaches and media to finish second. All right, they're seriously going to challenge for a berth. He gets fired yesterday. Apparently, the AD, he was entering the final year of his contract. She wouldn't give him an extension, and she figured, well, I might as well get rid of you now. And why have you coach through a lame duck year? Yeah, Mark. This is 2022. It's almost 2023. And I know the season's starting in like 12 days, but Mark, how long does it take to transfer?
A nanosecond.
A couple texts, an
Right.
email. You get the word out. You text a Jeff Goodman or a couple of people who, you DM a few people who cover college basketball and say, listen, I don't think we're going to stick around. And so sure enough, they fired him late morning. And by dinner time, Mark, apparently there's like 8 guys on the team who are taking offers right now to transfer. Now, it's tricky. You got to have a scholarship. And, some programs, most of them, in fact, don't have a scholarship available. But there's a lot of programs who keep a scholarship available heading into every season because kids transfer during the season, and you want to be able to have a spot available to say, hey, we'll take you right now. You don't have to pay a dime. So, yeah, Mark, I mean, like the star players already been contacted by Oregon, Memphis, K-State, 3 SEC schools, Wake Forest, Rhode Island. Mm-hmm.
I wonder what type of team they'll have by the time this is all said and done.
Absolutely. I'm wondering what type of team they're going to have by tomorrow. I mean, how quickly have you moved? I mean, what, you go back to the dorm? How much stuff can you have? You're 19 to
think
22
about it at
years
that
old.
age, even up to 25. I mean, how many of us, we were in apartments, which is where these guys are.
Right.
Put everything you own in a couple of boxes. Throw that in your car. You can be I could be in a new town in 24 hours.
Think about it, Mark. You and I have been fired a lot. And usually, what's your wardrobe when you're in this line of work? Half of your wardrobe is stuff having to do with the station or team that
Right.
you're working for. Well, now all of these players, they can leave all their Manhattan stuff behind. I mean, that's half their wardrobe, at least.
Probably 75%.
Yes, you're right.
Probably
You're right.
75%. They might keep one T-shirt, one pair of shorts they really like for a while.
Right. Have to have something to wear to show up at the new place.
Exactly.
Because the first thing the coach will say is, hey, great to have you. We got to get you new clothes. Yeah, coach, I need about 10 days worth, if that's okay. I had to get rid of all my stuff. Yeah. Don't want to be seeing this anymore. You're with us now.
Goodwill Manhattan just got a lot of donations.
Right. So this just if anybody out there, if you're going to be in charge of a college program, you need to realize what decade you're working in now. Okay. This isn't the old, Cincinnati Reds COO there. Where are you going to go? No. This is college athletics. Where are you going to go?
Is limitless.
Give me 48 hours to entertain all the offers, and I'll be there by Friday.
And coaches aren't going to feel badly for Manhattan because you fired one of theirs. You got rid of a coach. That's a fraternity. And I would argue that the college basketball coaching fraternity is the tightest of all the coaching fraternities. So they'll bury Manhattan without a problem.
Totally. And never mind the fact he's one of Pitino's guys. Okay. Pitino's got a lot of guys. All right. I mean, Rick's gotten about, 20 current head coaches their jobs. Okay. you don't. He didn't even have to call them. He just sent a text out to all of them. Hey, Steve just got fired. Any of you have scholarships available? He's got a really good team. Rick's trying to think, because Rick's in the same conference. Rick's trying to think, man, is there anybody I can run off at this late date and take that player of the year?
Well, you opened up the next can of worms with what transferring brings is gray shirting, but for another day.
Yes. So anyway, that's the story that was out there yesterday. That was the most interesting one to me. That is very 2022. And AD decides to get rid of a coach. I'm not bringing this guy back. I'll get rid of him now. And in not that long ago, 5 years ago, those kids were totally hosed. Now, Felipe, we know you want to continue, some sort of athletic career. You still think of yourself as an athlete. Felipe, if we lose you because you're a walk-on at Manhattan, we'll understand.
You've still got eligibility left, so
right.
Use it wisely.
Right. Just go. You're studying broadcasting there, Felipe.
Time to get that graduate degree. Miller and Moulton. The starting five is coming up on the other side. Bud Elliott in a little more than an hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, Jeff, they're probably not getting any credits. Well, that's not true, Jeff. I mean, let's be honest. So kid decides midway through the semester to transfer, athletic department's going to lean heavily on the academic advisor. They're going to put them in some classes in which they're going to figure out a way, probably pass-fail classes. Don't worry. We'll get you caught up. Besides, all you have to get is a C. Yeah, KW, everything's getting smaller. Yep. Corporations have figured out they can get away with it. Yes, Adam, the London game is only on ESPN Plus. It's a one-time-a-year thing. I believe Steve Levy and the quote-unquote B team is doing the game. Broncos, Jags. Couple of 2 and 5 teams.
Apparently, it's only on ESPN Plus, Adam. It should be able to see it in your market, though. I can't imagine that that's still not the case, but I don't know if that's how that works with ESPN Plus games.
Although Adam's in Pensacola, right? Adam, you're near Pensacola, right?
$30 seconds.
Bud.
I don't know who any of those schools are, so I can't help you.
Let's see. Red Knight, I guess, is North Fort Myers. Triton is Mariner. Seahawk is Cape
we go.
Coral. Right?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question, the Clutch Vodka play of the day. All coming up before we get to Bud Elliott 1 hour from now. It'll be lively with Bud. Where we are in the season. Down to what? 6 unbeatens? Things are getting interesting. You can see the big games from a mile away. Don't know how many of them we have this week, but you can see them from a mile away.
And you see that brush fire has expanded and has gotten quite out of control in College Station. We may talk about that as well.
With more than just Bud. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Did you see the Marlins hired a new manager? Skip Schumacher. He played 11 years in the majors. He was on the 2011 Cardinals team that won the World Series. In fact, the Cardinals probably the heart of his baseball resume. 2 different stints on their coaching staff, including this past year as their bench coach. Skip Schumacher. They had narrowed it down to 4. Everybody got a second interview. Skip got the gig. The Rays suffered another loss to their front office. Tampa Bay has lost a lot of people in their front office in the last 2+ years. And they just lost Rob Metzler, 15 years in the Rays front office, the last 7 as director of amateur scouting. Think about it. The Rays, the draft, all the young players. Director of amateur scouting, that's a big loss. He becomes the assistant GM for your Tigers, Mark.
Where else would you go to hire someone in the scout? I mean, it's where you raid.
Dodgers, Red Sox, Tiger. I mean, franchise after franchise is raiding the front offices. And then when you hire, and then what do? They're going to hire a couple of people they worked with the Rays. So it filters down even to the mid-levels of the organization. But Tigers apparently, they opened up the checkbook. See, I like it when organizations do things like this. It's one thing you want to criticize, spending the money on a Javier Baez. Okay. You spend money on scouts, on front office people, that is usually pennies compared to the dollars you got to spend on players. That is very well spent in the long run. So pay attention to that. World Series begins Friday, by the way, in Houston. Friday, Saturday in Houston. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Philadelphia. And a week from tomorrow, the irony of ironies, since we have a Philadelphia-Houston World Series, we'll have the Eagles visiting the Texans on the off day in between games 5 and 6 of the World Series.
That's your daily reminder of when the World Series starts. We'll remind you again tomorrow at 6:38.
Mark, we didn't put an over-under on the number of trades there was going to be at the football trading deadline. Some have joked that, we're going to have an NFL trading deadline special type of show, even if it's Twitch only. They're anticipating so much movement. I don't know about that, but this is the type of move that maybe you wanted to see the Tampa Bay Bucks make. And this is the type of move that they actually made 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. At the deadline, they picked up a veteran defensive lineman from the Jets, Steve McClendon, all right, for a 7th-round pick. But he was a body, okay? Put him in the rotation in the middle of the line, give Vita Vea, remember, who was injured at the time, all right? And then line him up next to Sue, 25, 30 snaps in the rotation, blah, blah, blah. Cowboys did that kind of deal yesterday with Jonathan Hankins from the Raiders. They gave up a 6th-round pick in next year's draft, but they even get a 7th from the Raiders in 2024. So basically, this guy cost them a 7th-round pick in terms of value. He's a big old body who can play.
I thought it was peculiar that they had to throw a pick in as well.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm wondering if it's, hey, this type of deal is normally just a 7th-rounder, and maybe the Cowboys don't have a 7th-rounder in next year's draft. And so they only had a 6, and they're kind of like, listen, if we give you a 6, you got to give me a 7th on the back end. I don't know. But the Cowboys' run defense is 20th in the league. They're giving up 4.4 yards a carry. They thought they needed to bolster it. And remember, who are they trying to catch? The Eagles. The Eagles run it very effectively. So I think a nice little move for the Cowboys. And for Jared to be able to make that move while still doing his weekly, radio hit on a Dallas sports station, I think is tremendous. Hey, guys, hold on. Can we go to break? I got to finalize this deal. NFL, by the way, we didn't talk about this the first 2 days of this week. The Mike Evans at the end of the game in
Right.
Carolina, the video of him and two officials, and it looked like the officials were asking Evans for his autograph, which probably would have gotten them fired. I mean, it's clear the rules. You cannot,
You can't ask for anything, period. Period at the sentence. It's that simple. You cannot ask for anything of a player.
So apparently, if you've seen the video, here's how it goes. Evans is walking off. The two officials, they're in the tunnel. Evans is about to spin off to the left to go to the Bucs locker room and don't know where the officials are going. Evans went to Texas A&M. Apparently, during the game, one of those two officials is also from A&M. Obviously, he's older, all right, but he's from A&M. And so they're talking during the game. And somehow they were talking about golf. And Evans needed help with his golf game. And so he asked the official, hey, do you know the golf coach and pro and what have you? And the guy was like, yeah, I'll get you his number after the game. And so literally, and Evans, they lost and he's not in a good mood and he had forgotten about it. But the official sees him and goes, hey, Mike, hold on. And then he didn't have anything to write with. So he asked the other official, hey, you got a pen or something? And so he gets the pen from him and he writes down the A&M golf coach, or he writes down the golf pro, whatever, and the number.
Well, I think Evans wrote down his phone number to give to him to give to
there
the golf. Is how I think it went down. But he got the paper for Evans. Evans jotted down a phone number, an email address, whatever the case may be, handed it back to him.
There you go.
It was all for a golf lesson.
Right. So Mike Evans can improve his golf game during the offseason.
Well, I would start with chipping because the hands are not good, David.
Well played, sir. Well played. Frank Clark got suspended 2 games by the NFL yesterday. I don't know if you remember, in September, Clark pled no contest to some gun charges. The NFL, they're like, hey, I know you and the Chiefs are off to a good start. Don't think we weren't paying attention to that. So they suspended him for 2 games. Chiefs are off this week, bye week, but then he'll miss 2 games. One of them's against Jacksonville because he violated the league's personal conduct policy, Mark. 2 games. And I don't know if you saw it, but the Titans released some renderings of what their new stadium is going to look like. And I will give them credit for $2.1 billion. It looks nice.
I should hope so.
No, I would hope so too. Now, I don't know if it's going to be nice enough where that's where the baseball team can also play, because Nashville is one of those cities that really wants a Major League Baseball expansion team. And it'll probably happen by the end of the decade. NBA, it was a 6-point game at the half, but Phoenix blew out Golden State 134-105. Klay Thompson ejected for the first time in his career. He and Booker were kind of trash talking. They ejected Klay. Booker said thanks. He stayed in the game, scored 34. Washington, Bradley Beal's dealing with a back issue. That bears watching. They beat Detroit by 21, however. Kyle Kuzma at 25. No Zion, no problem for the Pelicans. 8 different players in double figures, overcoming Luka's 37. New Orleans beat Dallas 113-111. How do you feel if you're in OKC last night? Hey, the Clippers are coming to town. You know what that means. Paul George, he used to play for us. Kawhi, yeah, they didn't play. 4th game of the season, load management.
Got that right.
Load management. Now, Kawhi's coming back from a knee injury, and, okay. But Paul George, I don't want to play. Okay. OKC got their first win of the year, 108-94. NHL, both the Panthers and Lightning lost on the road by the same score of 4-2. Blackhawks won their 4th in a row in beating the Panthers. Patrick Kane, not to be confused with Harry Kane. Patrick Kane with a goal and an assist. And the Kings, Mark, I did not realize this, did you? Kings had lost 10 straight to the Lightning. And apparently they were well aware of it, and they were just tired of it. I'm sure the Lightning had no idea after the game. They were probably like, what?
Not a clue.
But apparently the Kings were annoyed when the game started last night. Kind of like, we're sick of you guys.
And I just reading the article on the game. Hedman's comments are so funny to me because he's like, we'll figure it out tomorrow. They're 3-4. They're off to a slow start. Hedman's like, we got another one coming up here. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it too much. We're 7 games in.
Yeah, we got 75 more of these, and then
Right.
the real season starts.
Ho hum, ho hum.
Hedman, and then Stamkos, Hedman, all of them want to then go, we have the best goalie in the world, right? I mean, they're like, we're really not sweating this. Home, road. I mean, come on. It just doesn't matter. Last change. What does it mean? We're going to put the same guys on the ice. It doesn't matter home, away. I mean, our 5 guys, 3 of them are going to the Hall of Fame. That's not even including the goalie. I mean, we're not changing it up home or road. So the Kings beat them 4-2. Snapped that streak. Apparently it was a big deal. For a regular season hockey game, this was pretty good. Colorado and the Rangers decided, listen, we're not going to do this 82 times during the regular season. We're going to do this about 12 times. But we're going to play this game like it really counts. And
it started because the Rangers did.
Yep.
Rangers came out. They're obviously they're playing the champs. They've got to have a little jam in their step to get this game going. And they did, and they came out and they hit a little bit. And Colorado said, oh, you guys want to play a real game.
Okay, we can do that.
Oh, you're going to shoot me in the pinky toe, huh?
Yeah.
And it was on. And that game, I happened to watch it, started an hour later than Red Wings Devils. And I watched my Wings. The Devils whacked them pretty good, and Devils looked pretty good. But, man, I flipped that game on, and it was JV to varsity, the pace at which Rangers Avs were playing last night. That was a fun October hockey game.
Both goalies made over 40 saves. Avs win it in a shootout 3-2. Calgary 4-1 over the Penguins. The Bruins are quietly 6-1. They beat Dallas 3-1. Mark, you were right. New Jersey all over Detroit 6-2. Arizona beat Columbus 6-3. Minnesota, the Wild, after their GM said, nobody cares about how well you played last year. The boys got the message. They beat Montreal 3-1. Seattle over Buffalo 5-1. And big night for Phil Kessel. He played in his 990th consecutive game. That's an all-time NHL record for consecutive games played. And he scored, and it was his 400th, right?
It was his 400th goal.
Hall of Famer, Phil Kessel? I know, he's putting up some milestones, even though most of us consider him an underachieving winger and lazy and terrible defensively.
And I'm pretty sure after the 400th, he had a hot dog. I have no accounts of that. I have no one to confirm that, but that's my guess.
He helped Vegas beat San Jose 4-2. Mentioned the story last segment. Manhattan fired Steve Masiello less than 2 weeks before the season begins. Masiello was hired 7 years ago at South Florida, but then they found out he, lied on his resume. He didn't have a degree from Kentucky. He was 1 or 2 classes shy. So they fired him, and he went back to Manhattan. They were picked to finish second in the conference this year, and all their top players are saying they're going to transfer. Brittany Griner, by the way, had her 9-year sentence upheld upon appeal. And Jaylen Brown and Aaron Donald were both part of the entertainer formerly known as Kanye's agency. They both left that agency yesterday because, his comments publicly have not been nice. And that was the Starting Five.
The Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
But Elliott and Seth Everett still coming up on the show today. We'll get a poll question up, have our Clutch Vodka play of the day, all still ahead on the program. Jump into a little football here as, boy, oh boy, the things going on at Texas A&M keep getting worse and worse and worse.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex in the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, David Sampson's terrific. He apparently on his, I don't know if it was a podcast, but just on CBS Sports HQ yesterday, he said something that I don't think he said on this show, is that apparently when they were celebrating in the clubhouse, that, as he said, George Steinbrenner turned the lights off on us. So we were in the dark. We got the lights turned back on, though. KW, they gave her time served. And since she's been held since mid-February, so she's been 8 months. So they took that off her sentence, basically. So
For clutch play, I'm gonna do Georgiev.
What?
Avalanche game winning save shootout.
Okay.
His name's Georgiev.
he backed up Shesterkin the last 2-3 years. Before that, Lundqvist.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day, the final Wednesday of October. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question coming quickly. Clutch Vodka play of the day, about 15 or so minutes from now. Bud Elliott in a little more than 30 minutes. That'll be lively. College football's getting fun, Mark. It's getting fun.
I think it's always fun. It's getting really interesting right now and in so many different directions, good and bad. And I can't help but continue to want to talk about Texas A&M and what's going on there, David, because
Mark, they're not taking this season very well.
And the other side of this, all I can think of, and I'm dating myself, and I apologize for people that are young and haven't seen the movie, but in Blue Chips, when all the paid recruits kept walking into Nolte's office going, I don't like it here anymore. I need this. I want this. That's all in my head. I can see these A&M kids doing with the NIL money that they were receiving, and they're getting busted for curfew violations, and they're making fun of the older players, and the locker room has no cohesiveness. Really, you just bought a recruiting class, and you're having problems with it.
Well, he suspended 3 guys from the team who apparently he caught right before the game against South Carolina smoking pot.
Right.
Now, I saw a few people who cover the sport and who cover also college athletics at large who took to Twitter to say, that's not that uncommon anymore. Now, they weren't implying that, 50 of the guys do it before every game, but they're like, if you start suspending all the guys who take a couple of hits before the game, you might be down a few guys by November. So,
Weedgate, it's being called at Texas A&M.
Wow. Well, I would think in College Station it probably is big enough to put gate on the end of it.
You're damn right. This season is imploding, for the love of God. They were a top 10 preseason team. And while, David, you were all over it first. You were all over it. They are the most overrated team in the country. If they're not, Notre Dame is. And you called it in August. But we don't have that kind of gravitas where when a statement's made on this show that people have paying any attention to it. The rest of the football world was taken completely by surprise by how badly A&M has been this year.
And then you compound how Jimbo offensively, it's his team, it's his offense, and in comparison to everybody else, they are struggling. And
it's been pointed out by so many people nationally, and they are all correct in saying this. When it is a $95 million buyout or $84 million buyout or whatever the hell it is, he doesn't have a boss.
Also, it's a different buyout than most people's buyouts. And what I mean by that is most coaches, no matter how much money they're owed, if they then get another job, the amount that job gets subtracted from the amount that the old school owes. So in other words, you don't get to double dip. Jimbo gets to double dip.
Yes, he does.
If they were to get rid of him, they have to pay him in full, quickly. And he can go get another job for $100 million, and he's going to get all his A&M money and then all of his new money.
It is going to be really weird when he's a coordinator for Alabama.
He might be the only coach out there that Nick won't rehabilitate. But that doesn't mean that Kirby won't. I mean, Kirby's Christmas card is pretty impressive too. You start counting all the golf shirts in that one.
But Jimbo Fisher's fall from grace has been just on a unbelievably fast pace.
I would like to think if you could just get through your really bad year. Think about it, even at Florida State. And I'd be curious to hear what Noles fans think. Because, of course, Jimbo, Mark, here's a really good poll question. Who thinks worse of their national championship winning coach? Florida fans of Urban, Noles fans of Jimbo?
It's a great question.
I mean, if you think about it, it's the last 3 national championships in college football that have been won in this state in this century. Well, no, that's not. The Canes won the 2001. Okay, but in the last 20 years, there's been 3 national championships won. Urban won 2 at Florida. They hate him. All right. Jimbo won the 1 at Florida State. They hate him. Now, they both left badly. They did.
Yeah, they both quit on their universities on their way out. There's no denying that.
Right. Now, Urban at least waited till the season was over. I mean, he did. He did coach that last year, and he coached it pretty hard. Okay. I think they even beat Georgia that year.
But he did what Jimbo did in that he didn't recruit that year. Jimbo was worse.
Oh, no. Jimbo, the word was Jimbo by early October, took everybody off the road. I mean, that's how much Jimbo buried the Noles program. That's why remember that Houston TV reporter in early October of his final year said, guys, the contract's signed. It's in the drawer. It's done. This is happening. And it was right around that time that suddenly Florida State was no longer could be found on the road. But anyway, I mean, Mark, reportedly, if you believe the recruiting, I mean, we're going to have Bud Elliott on a half an hour. He 24/7 Sports, they kind of do this recruiting thing. 24/7, 365. And Jimbo's top 5 classes for the last few years. But he doesn't have a quarterback. And his offense is considered outdated. And right now, the numbers back it up.
And going back to what I said earlier, he doesn't have a boss. So there's no one that can come tell him to change the offense, to try to get it more in tune with what's going on right now, because Jimbo's stubborn, and he doesn't have to listen to anyone.
And because also, if they had to write you, and I don't mean you, Mark, I mean you as in everyone listening, if your employer had to write you a check for $90 million, basically, if they were to get rid of you today, when they call you into a meeting and they start really getting on your case and going, man, you got to make some changes. At what point during that meeting are you sitting back going, dude, just pay me? If you're this unhappy, get somebody else. Just make sure you write the check. That's Jimbo, Gimbo, Fisher.
So I will say Miller and Moulton, who are 2 guys that are all for getting the athletes paid.
Yes.
This is the other side of it.
When things don't go well.
He already suspended 3 of those freshmen for a Miami game early. Not those same kids, but he's already suspended players earlier in the season. I think he's had 6 of these freshmen that he's suspended already at one point or another.
I mean, I will say they have a very impressive defensive line core. I mean, they rotate 12 to 15 guys, and I mean, they're all, you take a look at them and you go, wow, they all can play. And they're all, most of them, the the overwhelming majority of his defensive linemen are either true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. I mean, if he keeps this group together, you're seeing where, man, the next couple years, they're going to be a handful. But that ain't now.
When they fire him, you would think they could keep all those kids because they're paying them. But it doesn't mean someone else won't offer them equal money to go take NIL at their school. And you've got to think, David, of all the schools that will be beating down A&M's neck to try to take kids, that school in Austin, Texas is going to try to get a few of them.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Because they'll see this as their opportunity to regain supremacy in the state.
I mean, think of Brian Kelly starts trying to recruit some of Jimbo's kids, okay, in which he could say, listen, my accent's not Jimbo, but let me try my fake accent out on you, all right? And he could start working his fake accent out on those A&M kids. He goes, now, I don't talk as fast. In fact, I talk more slowly. But you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. When I'm benching you, like right now when Jimbo benches you, you have to turn to your teammate and go, did I just get benched? I mean, you don't quite understand it. Right. You don't quite understand it when Jimbo benches you. But when I bench you, you'll know it. I'll be talking slowly. It'll be a really bad accent. It won't be genuine.
And when those LSU kids late in this year start recruiting the A&M kids during the game when they're beating them.
Exactly. I love when those conversations happen.
So the loose fire that is A&M, I can't get enough of right now, David. I am just all over this.
Well, what is the Halloween joke with Jimbo that's out there?
The Jimbo Fisher costume.
Is it a costume or is it a box of cereal? Okay, that's what, when I first saw it, I thought it was a box of cereal.
Well, it was set up like in a little poncho pack there.
Gotcha.
It includes your jacket, your visor, a $95 million buyout.
An outdated offense.
And angry boosters.
If A&M fires Jimbo Fisher, owing him that much money, Auburn boosters will turn and look at one another and go, man, let me tell you, we wouldn't have even done that.
But do we want to hire him?
And exactly. Listen, he's got $95 million in the pocket. Maybe we can get him on a discount.
Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott in 25 minutes. Seth Everett in an hour in 25 minutes. The Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up next on Miller and Moulton.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning to and from the airport, seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater. they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We can do that one.
No, I just didn't know what you meant.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Which national championship coach? How do you want to?
Which fan base hates the head coach who won them a national championship more?
God, this is snarky. Florida with Urban, FSU with Jimbo.
Canes fans going, well, we didn't hate Larry Coker.
Right.
He was a nice guy. I mean, he just wasn't, a great coach.
No, I don't think they're tanking. I mean, Ryan's got a separated shoulder.
It is interesting, though, that they're going with Ellinger and not Nick Foles.
Because Nick Foles sucks.
Does not suck.
He sucks. He had lightning in a bottle for a month.
Well, the Colts could use a little lightning. You know what? If you're the Colts, you'd take lightning in a bottle for a month right now. You go 3-1 in the AFC in the next month. That 6-4-1 mark might look pretty good. Well, he hasn't won him a national championship, Jake. Can't put him on the list. Not yet. Hasn't done anything.
This is so close. I still think it might be Florida with Urban.
Maybe I would guess Florida State only because it's much
recency
more
bias. Yes, I know.
And that they're still literally digging out from where he left them. Foles or Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, come on now. Enough already.
I'll tell you what, Rory McIlroy's had a pretty good life if at this point in his life is the first time he's ever felt betrayal from someone.
Well, usually he's doing the betraying. Just ask Caroline Wozniacki. I mean, when he nearly missed his Ryder Cup tee time, you do know who he was in bed with, right?
Right. His current.
The woman who drove him to the golf course,
right?
Who now just happens to be his wife and mother of his children, right? Yeah. While he was engaged to Wozniacki.
30 seconds.
No, Jake, that's the thing. Florida has not turned 180 on Urban. Ask a Gator fan. There aren't many things that Mark and I are more incredulous about than the Gator fans' absolute loathing of Urban.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Hope your week's going well as we get over the hump together. Miller and Moulton, final Wednesday of October. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Coming up, just a few moments, the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
We went snarky with our poll question today, David.
Well, it fits us.
And you came up with it, so I give you all the credit, but I wish I could take it myself because it is that snarky. Which fan base hates the head coach that won him a national championship more? Florida with Urban, Florida State with Jimbo.
Come on now. It's snarky, but it's true. Can it be snarky if it's true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of part of our charm, David. But we had a brief, and I wouldn't even call it an argument. We had a brief discussion with one of our regulars in the Twitch chat room who tried to say that Florida fans done a 180 on Urban. Find him.
Yeah.
Find him.
Yes. Even with the way the last 10 years have gone, find us the Gator fan who was mad, hated Urban in the 20 teens, who now is back to appreciating and saying good things about Urban Meyer.
Find him. That's all we ask, because we don't think there are, I'm sure there are a couple.
4.
We've not come across them yet.
No. The over-under's 4.5. I'm telling you. The Gator Nation, at the millions that are part of Gator Nation, the over-under's 4.5. Not million people. No. It might be the thing that Miller and Moulton are most incredulous about. Because we understand fans. Come on now. We
are
guys
fans at the end of the day.
And we make our living communicating with and hearing from fans. We're both in our 50s by now. So we think we understand, and we get the original hurt and the whole deal. And yes, it was ugly the way it ended. And yes, left them at a bad spot, the whole deal. We haven't recovered. I get it. 2 banners, man. 2 banners. Tim Tebow, he brought them. Hello. Nope. Nothing. Gator Dad in our Twitch chat room. I can confirm I still can't stand Urban Meyer.
Right.
Have not been close to the program that you were.
And I think that's part of the problem, though, is that they haven't been close and they still blame him, even though that day is come and gone. They could blame him for the 3 years post-Urban leaving.
Yeah, you want to blame
a lot of blame that went around there.
Totally. You want to blame him for Will Muschamp. I mean, in between Spurrier and Urban, we had what? Ron Zook. Did you blame Spurrier for Ron Zook? No, you blame the AD for Ron Zook, who then went and got you Urban. And look what happened. But I mean, Gator fans, to us, act as if they almost wish the Urban Meyer time didn't happen. They hate him that much. Well, don't you appreciate the 2 champions? I don't want to honor Urban.
And Florida State fans in a similar spot right now.
Totally.
Because Jimbo left Florida State worse than Urban left Florida.
Totally. Close. No. Similar records, but that's it. I mean, you got to remember, 2 years after Urban left, Will Muschamp had the Gators 12-1. That cupboard was not nearly as bare as the cupboard was left in Tallahassee. Will Muschamp had him 12. Will Muschamp damn near went to Atlanta, lost one regular season game. And none of you out there think Will Muschamp can coach.
Hell, Will has family members that don't think he can coach that well.
But you know what? He's got Jimmy Sexton as his agent. He gets paid. He gets paid. He gets paid in full, too. And he gets to double dip. He gets fired as head coach in Florida and South Carolina. He gets to go somewhere else. And right. No, Will gets paid. Will's got one of them lake houses somewhere. Don't you kid yourself. He's living a good life. All right. It brought up in our Twitch chat room, Auburn fans towards Gene Chizik. They don't hate Gene Chizik. They thank him for 2010. They don't think he's a great coach. And no, there's never been 1 minute spent going, you know who we should hire back? Gene Chizik. No. But they don't hate him. They say, hey, thanks. We appreciate that. I mean, don't get me wrong. We gave Gus most of the credit, but you're a nice guy. Okay, we appreciate it. We'll invite you back.
Him out of the bar in Auburn, Alabama, if you know what I mean. He's not going to get booed off the stage.
No.
He's going to get applause. He's going to get pats on the back. He's going to get handshakes.
Yes, like when they honored the team in 2020, 10-year anniversary. You know, they bring Gene back. I mean, Gator and Knowles fans do not want Urban and Jimbo brought back to town when they honor those championship teams.
Was Gus Malzahn the coach of Auburn against FSU?
Against FSU, that was 2013. Chizik was the head coach with Gus as offensive coordinator when they won it in 2010. And most Auburn fans give Gus the credit for 2010. They do. And Cam, they give Cam the credit. Come on, Cam won us a national title. Meanwhile, they don't give Gene any credit for bringing Cam in. He was the head coach after all.
So that's our question. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com to answer today's poll question. Full of snark. Which fan base hates the head coach that won him a national championship more? Florida with Urban, FSU with Jimbo. Vote accordingly. Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. What do we got today, Felipe?
Does it get any more clutch than a game-winning save in a shootout? Alexander Georgiev, goalie for the Avalanche.
On Georgiev to the forehand. Save made by Georgiev. And he celebrates a win against his old team here at the Garden.
Former Ranger winning in a shootout last night as the Avs down the Rangers 3-2. And Felipe had a hockey clutch play of the day. That's Clutch Vodka, clutch with a K. That is clutch right there, Felipe, going way out of your realm and going with a little hockey. Must have been the first highlight that he found. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Come on now.
Well, I heard that happened in the starting five. And I said, sounds good. That's when I hear the contenders during the starting five.
Remember the Clutch Vodka Dolphin watch parties at Seaside in Bonita Springs. For every Dolphin game, go to the Seaside Bar in Bonita Springs on Old 41 for the great Clutch Vodka Bloody Mary Bar, Clutch Vodka specials. And make sure you stay tuned for all the Clutch Vodka coming to a Total Wine near you.
But Elliott coming up on the other side, Seth Everett in a little more than an hour. We had promoted Jeff Pearlman at 8 o'clock, talking about his new Bo Jackson book. Turns out PR people got the dates confused. It's not this Wednesday, it's next Wednesday. So apologies, Jeff Pearlman a week from now. Wright Thompson will join us Friday in the bonus hour. So, Mark, this is our, illustrious authors phase of booking guests. Got books out late in the year, that sort of deal.
Right in time for Christmas.
Exactly. See how that works? If we ever write a book, this is apparently the time to release it.
I'm good.
Come on now. Our book would be pretty entertaining. I mean, 19 people would buy it, but it'd be snarky. It'd be entertaining. Just, nobody likes us.
Instead of you're fired, it would be I'm fired.
We're fired.
Miller and Moulton holding on yet to another job. Bud Elliott is next on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He has not missed this year.
Kevin.
Why?
Kevin.
Why? So why?
Oh, that was.
That is you, Kevin.
I am so sorry. He was 22 of 22. I'm not a dealer in superstition.
Yep. Look at Steph. Look at Steph.
Me.
Look at.
That's funny. Oh wait, Steph went on to miss 2 more free throws that night.
What was that?
Kevin Harlan talked about Steph Curry's consecutive free throw streak at the start of the season, and Steph Curry proceeded to miss it. And then they're all talking about the sideline giving him crap and the color guys giving him crap. And Harlan saying he was 22 for 22. And Steph Curry just turns and looks at him and points at Harlan, blaming him for missing free throw.
Announcer jinx.
Looks way more like a Twix bar than a power bar. I know it's a power bar, David, but it looks like a big oversized Twix bar. Does it taste like a big oversized Twix bar?
No, it does not, Mark. Tubby gets as much credit for the 98 national championship as Barry Switzer gets for the Cowboys Super Bowl.
And Jiff there, Jimmy Johnson's beloved at the U. Beloved at the U.
Yes.
So to have any comment where do they say the same about Jimmy? No, they love Jimmy.
Jimmy's a cool dude. Also,
he won him a national championship. He stayed, by the way. He stayed for another year.
I was going to say unlike Butch Davis, but he never even won with us, even though he should have.
Well, Larry won with Butch's kids. I mean,
right? Larry was the chaperone.
And to be honest, if they had put Miami in the national championship game in 2000 instead of Florida State, which they should have, they had the same record and Miami beat them. Right? Butch might have won you a national title.
Oh yeah. Hell.
Because also that game was played in the Orange Bowl.
It was Alabama. It was FSU Alabama that year, right?
No, it was FSU Oklahoma.
Or
Bob Stoops. But Miami would have played a home game for the national championship, literally.
Yeah. I know damn well Oklahoma even thought, oh, we're not playing Miami?
You don't know much about Oklahoma teams back then. They didn't give a damn who they played. They were a superpower.
But Miami was better that year.
It's not at all what you said. What you said is that Oklahoma went, oh, damn, we don't have to play Miami. And I'm just telling you, back in those days, Oklahoma said, we'll play whoever you want. It's just the way that it was.
I'll never forget, they announced the national championship game, and they had Bob Stoops on live, and they were like a 2-touchdown underdog, and Stoops was like, really? I actually think we match up pretty well.
Hi, Bud.
Hey, Bud.
What's going on, guys?
High and tight there, Bud.
Yeah, a little high and tight this week. I don't think I had a haircut since like August.
Well, you made up for it.
Sorry. Both kids up last night, just in the middle of the night, a couple of times. We're a little struggle bus this morning.
Uh-oh.
I'm on multiple of these today.
There you go.
That's the way to do it.
Oh, forgot my lighting. There we go. That's a little too dark. Yeah. All right. Well,
I do like the.
It's still a radio product mostly, right?
It is still a radio product.
Okay. Oh man.
If you want to do it in the dark, do it in the dark.
No, I'm good. You guys been good?
Oh yeah. So are you up for all now? Is it how do you get the first kid? How does that work in your house? Does mom take care of first wake up and then you're in charge after that? When do you get the elbow that says, Bud, your turn?
It kind of just depends on the night, right? So like Wednesday nights, I'm not doing anything because like Thursdays are a really long day for me. Thursdays are like kind of like 4:45 to like 7 p. So like I'm getting my sleep there for sure. Friday nights I'll do really no problem because like Saturdays I'm not on the air that much. Like occasionally like CBS hits, but like
10 seconds.
That's not long, and then like the Saturday night recap, which is always kind of punchy anyway. It really depends on the night.
Here
right?
you go, guys.
In the off season, we split it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. At this time on Wednesdays, that means Bud Elliott, busy man this time of year. CBS Sports HQ, 24/7 Sports, the Cover 3 podcast, the Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter at Bud Elliott 3. Bud, can you answer our poll question just to start with your connection to Florida State because you cover them in the Nolecast and all deal? We went very snarky with our poll question today. Which fan base hates their national championship winning coach more? Gators to Urban, Knowles to Jimbo.
I think it's probably Knowles to Jimbo, but I wonder if that's softening some now that Jimbo is struggling so much, right? Like some Gators hate Urban, but I think most of them understand there was just some stuff going on there, right?
No.
They still hate him, you think?
No.
He brought him 2 titles.
Right.
Bud, our Twitch chat room, we've got one person so far, and it's not even that person. They said that their Gator fan next door is okay with Urban.
Yeah,
okay?
we got as soon as we said it, got a text from a diehard Gator fan. We hate Urban because he lied. Said he couldn't coach due to heart problems, then goes to Ohio State and wins a national championship.
Yeah, but he didn't trash the program on the way out in the same way.
Listen,
right?
Don't have to convince us. You don't have to convince us. I'm just telling you. All right. It's at least 3-1 Gator fans loathe Urban.
This is why I'm somewhat a little bit hesitant to completely write off Oklahoma fans who were saying things about Lincoln Riley, right? Because FSU fans, when Jimbo left, sounded a lot like Oklahoma fans talking about Lincoln Riley. And now those Florida State fans, it took a while because that COVID year threw us off. But Jimbo, if you take out the COVID year, has a losing record in the SEC, and they haven't even scored 30 points in an FBS game in over a calendar year. So now it's starting to look like, okay, like this looks a lot like 15-17.
And Bud, obviously there's a lot going on there, but between Weedgate, between the other suspensions for the Miami game and the NIL money, Miller and Moulton are all for paying college athletes. And I think in a large degree you are too, Bud. I don't want to speak for you there, but David and I had no problem with NIL. We knew it was going to be a little bit ugly. Here is the ugliness of it. The kids come in, they're doing what they want to do. Jimbo's nearly unfireable because of a $90 million buyout. This is, I guess, everything that could go wrong with NIL in a nutshell, isn't it?
Okay, so what's the bigger problem created by money? The maybe $150K that some of these kids are getting per year, or the fact that your head coach is guaranteed $90 million, so he has no incentive to make any changes if he believes what he's doing is the right thing, even though we have about 7 years in a row now of evidence that the offense sucks. Right? Like I think we shouldn't blame NIL. We should blame the coaching salaries and the guaranteed contracts. Hell, it just got revealed that Venables is on a guaranteed $40 million contract in Oklahoma. Like, who is stealing away Brent Venables? What are we guarding against there? So I get your point though, right? I think if you have bad culture and you have a bunch of kids who came to your school only because of NIL money, that could be a recipe for poor results. Now, I think the same thing applies to coaches, right? If you have a program that's not set up for success and maybe a retread coach is taking your job only because it pays a lot of money, I don't know, like an Auburn or something like that, potentially coming open here, maybe that could be a problem. I will say we're not hearing about the NIL problems at USC or Tennessee or any of these SEC schools in the summer that spent big time money to make sure their second stringers didn't leave, right? Like they're locking up their future their future depth charts. I think it's more of kind of culture in those places. But with Mario, we'll see, right? I think the guy has a really good track record of building a roster. And maybe his style just isn't working this year with the existing players on that team.
I'm going to read you a schedule. These are the teams that this team has played. Notre Dame, Arkansas State, Toledo, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State, Iowa. Are we sure that Ohio State's just going to go to Penn State and have no trouble? I mean, let's be honest. They haven't played a ranked team, basically. I mean, Notre Dame, even on their best day, this year's team is not worthy of being ranked. Okay, that's who Ohio State has played. Now, I think they're the most talented team in the country, but are we sure they're just going to go to State College and whoop up?
No, I'm not sure. And we put a video out on the Cover 3 YouTube channel the other day saying people were getting mad at us for nitpicking the Ohio State win over Iowa because they won by 40-something. I said, look, here's the thing. Ohio State, over the last couple of years, has had a red zone touchdown problem on offense against the better defenses they've faced. We saw it a little bit against Wisconsin. We saw it a lot against Notre Dame. We saw it again over the weekend against Iowa. Now, eventually the dam broke, but Iowa forced a lot of field goals early in that game. We think Ohio State's defense is a lot better, but they really haven't played many offenses that can challenge them, to be honest. And Penn State is a tough place to play it. Has Ohio State had to go play a really tough road game yet? Not really. So we'll see. Like, I think Ohio State's the number one team in the country. I do, because that offense is probably just that good, but it's not like stamped yet to me.
Tennessee, obviously, they're a pretty big number against Kentucky, and Kentucky's had some problems here recently, but Tennessee's not played a game yet where they're the hunted. Now things, after beating Alabama, everything changes, Bud, and you know that. Well, Tennessee, and it was one thing to play UT Martin. Now they got to play an SEC game as the team who's supposed to win. Is Tennessee ready for that?
It'll be interesting to see how Kentucky plays them. So I'm not really high on Kentucky, right? Like, Kentucky beat a bad UF team because of 2 pick sixes. The offense has been just straight trash. We thought Ole Miss's defense was good. In the last 3 weeks, we've learned that's probably not true. So Kentucky's poor performance at Ole Miss looks even worse, right? Offensively, they really have not blocked people very well this year. But defensively, there's kind of 2 ways you can play this Baylor offense that Tennessee. You can try to basically man it up and hope deep shots, or you can play everybody off, soft zone stuff, let them kind of move the ball on you underneath, and then hope you win in the red zone and force field goals or some turnovers down there. I suspect Kentucky will do the latter because that's how Stoops has always seemed to play this. Last year it didn't work, but there is some chance. This is when Baylor lost, it was either because their defense was bad or because they just kicked too many field goals because they somebody bottled them up red zone wise, or they missed their deep shots. That's kind of what we saw. Like Gary Patterson would alternate every year. Some years he would beat them. The next year he'd give up 70, right? Because they hit the deep shots. It's like, okay, that's how today's going to go. There's some chance Kentucky is able to slow the offense of Kentucky or of Tennessee down a little bit. I'm just not sure if Kentucky can score enough because they haven't looked good in any game.
Also, Kentucky's offensive line, not a good pass blocking line, and
Yeah.
Tennessee's front has done a very good job of pressuring quarterbacks. Now, they have played with the lead basically the entire season. Okay, so they're basically just teeing off on quarterbacks. But that to me is the game within the game. I don't know if Kentucky's O-line can pass protect when they need to. Is Florida a 22-point dog to Georgia? Like your power rankings when Sunday morning, what did it spit out? Because you're pretty good about this thing.
Yeah, I made it 20. So like if I get 24.5, I'll take some Florida. But I also made the total higher than it came out. Like I grabbed some of that 51.5 when it came out, even though my numbers didn't really say to. I think when you have an offense, first of all, Georgia can be explosive at times just with the athletes they have. They haven't really shown it so far this year. Florida is not a team that I trust to get off the field defensively because that's not an opinion statement. They're literally dead last in the country on third down defense. And they've played some decent offenses. So that's fair to point out. But it's AR-15, or I guess we can't call him anymore. It's Richardson, right? He has the potential to keep him in this game. He also has the potential to blow this thing open with just crazy turnovers, bad reads. Georgia we saw this, was it last year against Georgia? The game that kind of got Mullen like super fired when they went from being kind of close to it's a couple turnovers in a row. Boom, this thing is blown open. So I bet over 51.5. I think it's like 55 now. I'd probably bet over 55. I made the number 58.
Does Florida, what do you expect? I mean, they had a week off. Is there anything in the bye? Would they change things dramatically? Is there anything that Florida can do, in your estimation, to keep this close?
I thought they did a nice job against Tennessee, right? They identified which fourth down should be goes, and they called third downs in a corresponding manner, right? 3rd and 8 from midfield, they would throw something underneath to get to 4th and 2 and let Richardson use his legs to pick it up, and then did it pretty nicely. I thought they kept Tennessee's defense off balance. They held the ball well. Defensively, I don't know, man. Miller's playing really well, but there's a lot of guys that are not playing super well. The receiving core is not going to scare Georgia at all. So you're probably going to have a lot of loaded boxes, and Florida's receivers are going to have to win one-on-one. We'll see if they can. I don't. That's been something we ID'd in the preseason when it came on with y'all. Like, do they have a receiver that scares anybody? Shorter coming off the bus looks good, but he drops a lot of balls, and he's not super agile. So I don't know. We'll see if they can run it on UGA. I'm a little skeptical.
Not sure what UCF team's going to show up, but they got a big one. I mean, if they're going to try to make the AAC title game, they got to win out. They host Cincinnati this week. I see the game as a pick 'em in terms of that's the line. Just curious your thoughts. UCF, when they're good, they're good, and when they're bad, hosting Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think UCF's a team that can get this done. Cincinnati has a great pass rush. UCF would prefer not to throw the ball all that much. Plumlee, 3 turnovers again in the red zone last week at ECU. He's just not a good passer, right? They're ideally they're running modified Wildcat. This is a guy who had one of the best 60-yard times as a baseball prospect in the country. He was playing some receiver for Ole Miss. You need to run him a lot and limit the throws to the extent you can. Cincinnati's offense does not look all that great, but honestly, man, UCF's defense, allowing Holton Ahlers to go 30 of 36 for 320 or whatever he did was concerning. ECU got exactly what they wanted almost every time on this UCF defense. So I'm interested in this one.
What the hell happened to the Canes last week, and what should we expect from them going forward? I mean, that's a bad loss against Duke. They got whooped. It's one thing to lose a game. They got whooped by Duke.
I mean, 8 turnovers, right? Like I looked at this. It's crazy to say turnovers are luck because there's some non-random element to turnovers, right? And I think if you have 8 of them in the game, it's fair to ask about your mentality going in. Now, I bet Duke on the money line to win the game. So, and said it on the show. So basically, I don't think Miami, they kind of, to me, play like 4 neutral site games a year, 5 road games, and 3 home games. And I'm not trying to just crap on the fan base here, but nobody shows up to these home games when they're not playing FSU, Clemson, or a traditional rival, like maybe Virginia Tech could draw down there, especially if it's a night game. It just, they seem flat the whole time. Honestly, like the only time they looked good was when Duke had that early fumble in their own end, and Miami got up, and then the quarterback gets hurt. I'm actually betting them this weekend at Virginia, though. I know that sounds insane, but
it is. It's insane that they're favored, and I know Virginia's not good, but it's insane with what Miami has, A, done against the number, in which they might be the worst team in the country, and B, with the way they have played recently. For them to be favored over a Division I team right now is insane.
I think that Miami has a coaching advantage here. I think Tony Elliott and his staff have done a really bad job. And UVA has maybe the worst offensive line in the Power 5. And if there's one thing I can count on with Miami, is that this defensive line will still get after people. Now, I'm not really sure how the back end will play, and that's kind of the scary part of the matchup. But UVA didn't move the ball that well on Georgia Tech. They really haven't moved the ball on anybody. I think Miami will own the defensive line scrimmage here and be able to get the W.
Quickly, Notre Dame, Syracuse at the Dome.
I think low scoring. I just don't trust Notre Dame's offense. I know some coaches who have played against the Irish, and they're like, yeah, the quarterback's legitimately bad, guys, and the receivers are not any good.
And this could decide who plays in the Big 12 title game opposite TCU, Oklahoma State, K-State.
Watch the injury report. It's all about that. Oklahoma State has like 6 or 7 guys who are going to be game time decisions. Kansas State, Adrian Martinez is a maybe. Walker Howard is a possible. So Kansas State could be playing their number 3 quarterback again.
All right, 30 seconds. You gave us Troy last week when we put you on the spot. They were a 3-point dog. They won outright. Give us one.
I'm going to lay it with Arizona State. I think they're going to switch quarterbacks to this kid named Bourguet, who's a really good passer. And Colorado's defense this year it's pretty bad. The head coach, who likes to throw the ball a lot, is taking over play calling. I think they'll put a number up there.
They're laying around 13, maybe even 13 and change at Colorado, who is one of the 5 worst Division I teams in the country. Bud Elliott, CBS Sports HQ, 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 Podcast, Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott, the number 3, Bud Elliott 3. Bud, be good.
See you guys. Be well.
Bud Elliott with the new do, if you were watching on Twitch.
High and tight, looking good. Either that or kids were waking up in the middle of the night and it's just put your head under the sink and lay everything underneath it to get yourself ready. It's one or the other. Miller or Moulton, Seth Everett in 40 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Klecko, we asked that earlier. He's borderline. It's really close. I think it might be a yes.
These milestones here.
400 goals, man.
Yep. And he'll probably play in 10 more consecutive games, so that streak will get to 1,000. Kessel was funny when he was asked about it. He says, it means I'm getting old. Well, Ohio State fans don't have a problem with Urban as a whole. You can always find a few, but he won him a national championship. You got to remember, Ohio State is not. I mean, Woody won in '68, Tressel won in '02, and Urban in 2014. That's it, man. In the last 55 years, basically. So. And he left the program in tremendous shape. I mean, that is the one thing that Gator fans like, didn't leave ours that way. But you didn't leave it in bad shape. 2 years later, you went 12-1, for God's sakes. Or 11-1.
30 seconds.
Where do you want to go here?
I was going to bring up some NFL.
Okay.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the 8 o'clock hour, the third hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Wednesday of October. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our friend Seth Everett, who attended both league championship series, and I believe will be going to the middle games in Philadelphia in the World Series, which begins Friday. He will join us coming up in a little more than 35 minutes' time. Can I talk a little NFL?
Absolutely.
All right. So now that week 7's in the books, and obviously we have not had 16 games played every week because bye started a couple of weeks ago. So, 16 times 7 is 112. I think, we've probably lost 4 to 6 games because of buys. So we're around 106 or 108 games that have been played so far this year, Mark. 84 of them were one-score games going to the fourth quarter. 8 points or less. 84 out of, let's just call it $1.08. That's damn near, that's 80%, right?
Right.
Very, very close. I mean, think about that. The other sports in which, where are you heading into the final, fourth quarter of an NBA game, third period of a hockey game, in which the game would have to be tied or one goal either way, probably to fit the criteria. Baseball, tied or a one-run game, maybe.
The 7th?
Right. Maybe we'd squeeze in 2 runs because, one base runner, tying run at the plate, what have you. So whatever your criteria is, 84 games through 7 weeks. I mean, it's 12 a week that are one-score games going to the fourth. 63 of the games have been decided by 8 points or less. And so you're looking at around 60% of the games are decided by one score. Roughly 80% of the games heading to the fourth are one-score games. And we know teams have come back double-digit deficits in the fourth quarter. I mean, heck, the Giants and Jets seem to be majoring in it this year. But, and along those lines, Mark, speaking of the Giants, third team in NFL history that in their first 7 games have 6 wins by 8 or fewer points. 2000 Vikings, that was Dante Culpepper, and they went to the NFC Championship game that year. And the 88 Saints, which I believe was the breakthrough team for Jim Morris Sr. And the Saints might have been the 87 team, the strike year. I think they were pretty good that year. But that was when Jim Morris Sr. and that group of Saints, the linebackers and Bobby Hebert, and they finally made New Orleans a winning NFL team. But to just show you the fine line the Giants are on the right side of right now, they're only the third team in history to have at least 6 wins in their first 7 weeks, and all of them be by one score. So just some numbers. 7 weeks in.
What's interesting as you do that, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've lost 2 of those close games, but half of their losses have been in larger fashion. They lost by 10 to Kansas City, and then obviously last week were dismantled by the Carolina Panthers. And That, to me, when you read those stats, I immediately started thinking about that Carolina-Tampa game. Is how can you not even be competitive in a game against a team that's that bad? And what does that mean going forward for the Bucs?
And by that bad, you mean a team that when the game was being played was on the clock. They would have had the first overall pick of the draft before that game was played if we had conducted the draft that morning. That's what I think you're meaning by that bad, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure.
Exactly. And we've talked.
No, sorry, Mark.
Oh, and we've talked at length of them going out and finding somebody, getting somebody. You saw that, there's the other part of this too that we've not really brought up. But Bruce Arians hanging around all the time. How is that good for Tampa Bay?
Well, I didn't necessarily think it was good before the season started. Now, Mark, I got to be honest. If he was not a part of the organization in any way, and he was just hanging out in Tampa Bay, smoking cigars, playing golf, having a couple drinks, living the good life every day, wouldn't we and people like us be saying, Byron Leftwich and that new head coach, they might want to call Bruce Arians. They may want to go have lunch with Bruce and say, hey, what are you seeing? What do you think we're doing wrong? I mean, don't you think yahoos like us would be saying that Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich maybe need to call Bruce Arians? Maybe he needs to come in and, sit down for an hour. We'll get him some Publix. Who doesn't like a good Publix sub in the middle of the day, right?
It is. It's you can't say it's underrated anymore. But it is truly one of the good things in life, David. You are right. Who doesn't like a middle of the day Publix sub?
This is when I knew Publix subs were really good. I had been living in Florida about 5 years. It was, I think, around 2005-06, because Doug Minkiewicz was on the Dan Patrick Show. And Minkiewicz was a Twin, spring training in Fort Myers. Then he ends up with the Red Sox, catches the final out of the World Series when they win it in 2004, spring training in Fort Myers. I forget where he is in like 05-06, but he's playing somewhere. I don't think he's doing spring training in Florida. And somehow, some way it came up. And Patrick said something about, what do you miss most? And Doug Minkiewicz on a national radio show said Publix. And Dan Patrick's like, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, man, it's a grocery store. They got the best subs. He goes, that's what I miss about Florida spring training the most.
Not the humidity, the Publix. You're damn right. You're damn right.
I laughed. Okay, and I think Brzezinski also said it when he went for the Twins to the White Sox. You go from training in Florida to training in Arizona. And A.J. Brzezinski, because Patrick then asks him when he gets him on, and he goes, oh, Minkiewicz is right on.
But Publix subs aside, and bringing Arians in for a sub, you wonder what Leftwich is doing with this offense.
Well, there are a few people who are saying, listen, we kind of know what you're doing. We can tell by formation what it is you're going to do on this play. And if we can tell that for the broadcast booth and the press box, you can imagine what the other teams are doing, considering they're watching about 80 hours of film before the game. So I do think Tampa Bay, listen, I feel badly for the Bucs. They got to play tomorrow. Some people are making the case after that stinker, you want to get back on the field as soon as possible. You want to put that one aside. I actually think the Bucs needed a full week. They needed to do some self-scouting.
And there's no time for that this week. It's game plan. It's put the game plan in, implement the game plan, play the game.
Because it's also their run defense, which has fallen apart in the last 3 weeks also. And who are they playing? They're playing the Ravens. That's a team that runs the ball, even though Dobbins is back on the injured list. They're good at it, starting with their quarterback.
Who's not been running much lately, for the record.
Well, guess he's trying to stay healthy. Guess he's trying to get that $50 million. You got to play all 17 games to do it. He also could be saying, it's early. It's early. Wait till after Thanksgiving. These games mean a little more.
You're right. But, I mean, he is, their offense, I have concerns with the Baltimore offense right now as well because he's not been running the ball. And I'm going to be interested to see how Tampa defends them because, he ran it 10 times last week, but it's not been what I've not seen out of them is Lamar running for 6 and getting 2nd and 4.
Well, good, to be honest with you, because I don't know if that offense is going to win you a Super Bowl. Now, him running 6 times a game because you're putting pressure on him and he escapes the pocket and decides, ooh, wow, there's a lot of green there. That's fantastic. And then him running another 5-6 times a game tops on design plays, the way the Bears did a couple times with Fields. Like, you and I both think that the Bills run Josh Allen too much. And I know coaches don't want to use the regular season to work on things unless their name is Bill Belichick. Okay, but you and I both think that the Bills should be working really hard on establishing that running game through the running back, that it will help them in January and February. And it will help keep the big fella healthy, too. It only takes one shot.
And with Buffalo, I wonder if it's the coaching or I wonder if Josh Allen just runs too much for Josh Allen.
Could be. Which he calls his own number, goes, I'm pretty good at this.
And I think Lamar this year has just quit calling his own number. I think Lamar said, the hell with this.
Yeah, we got a line. We got 19 tight ends. We got a bunch of running backs. How about you guys do the work? One other thing about the Giants, they're also only the 3rd team in NFL history to have this many wins through 7 games and have 5 of those wins be when they're trailing in the second half. Now, obviously, a Yahoo like me has thought they weren't going to be able to sustain this. But it does show you how, I don't know if extraordinary is the right word, but unusual how they're winning their games is. They literally are doing something that only 2 other teams in the history of the league have done.
David, they're 6-1. Have they been favored in a game this year?
I think when they hosted Baker in Carolina, they were like a 2 or 3 point favorite. I think that's the only one.
And maybe the Bears game, were they a favorite?
Oh, yes, and they were favored against the Bears because they were a home dog at 2-0 against the Cowboys. So, yeah, they've been an underdog 5 of their 7 games.
And they'll be an underdog this Sunday as well when they take on the division-leading Seattle Seahawks. Miller and Moulton. More football talk on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right. Arch. With the Publix hard salami, it's better than Boar's Head. But I think the Boar's Head roast beef is better than the Publix roast beef. I think this is a meat by meat case here. Wow, NHL futures bets. I'll do it without Moulton here, but I'd definitely take a look and see where the Rangers are. What I can be a real pain in the ass at Publix, though, and order something that's not on the menu, like substitute something, then they got to go cut that for you, and you usually get better meat. Yeah, and I don't do chicken tenders, Arch.
So what's the American?
I agree on the Publix ham, Adam. That's why I said it's a meat by meat. It's a case by case basis.
Right. Not turkey, but ham. Agreed.
The Publix deli tavern ham or whatever is delicious. Chris B's going out to Vegas. He's looking for NHL futures bets. I said, I'd look at what the Rangers are right now. It's tough, though, because I don't think the West is that good, and Colorado's better than everybody in the West. Colorado going back doesn't surprise me one bit, where I think there are 6 teams in the East that could make the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, the East has gone through their rebuilding phase. The West has a bunch of teams that are just beginning their rebuilding phase. There's not much to challenge Colorado out west.
I will say Jersey looked good.
It's funny. They started talking about firing their coach, and the last 3 games ever since, they've played really well.
Well, when I switched over, whoever was doing the intermissions with Messier, and I wasn't paying that much attention because it was quick, but that, they were showing highlights, and he's like, I got Jersey going to the playoffs this year. I'm like, wow.
Over the Wings and the Islanders, because, trying to pick which team who didn't make it would.
Well, and it's funny because Jake's all over this. He's like, he was laughing when you said Boston was going to be better. He's like, how are they going to be better? Jake's yelling. He's like, how are they going to be better? He goes, 2 best players aren't going to be around, and they're 6-1.
Exactly. They were so banged up last year, Jake. That's the reason why I thought they could be better.
1 minute.
American is a roast beef, ham, and turkey. Ooh, wow. That's dirty right there. That is dirty. Man. Well, we have different views. One has it roast beef, ham, and turkey. The
Yeah,
other's
well, Dead worked at Publix. I'm going with Dead. I'm just.
Yeah. So it's below.
But either way, ham, roast beef, and beef bologna.
So we didn't have money growing up. I ate a lot of bologna sandwiches.
I had a lot of bologna and American cheese and mayonnaise sandwiches as a kid, David.
Got that right.
My mom was big on the ground bologna, where we'd buy the ring bologna, and we had that little meat grinder, which I wish I still had, and make your own. Oh, so good.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We got Seth Everett coming up in less than 20 minutes. Our poll question, pretty snarky today, even by Miller and Moulton standards of snarky. Which fan base hates their national championship winning coach more? Gators to Urban Meyer, Knowles to Jimbo Fisher. I voted Gators to Urban Meyer because of the longevity of the hate. Recency bias, and Florida State still is not effectively dug out from what Jimbo did to them. Okay, so people may think it's Knowles, and Knowles is winning. But I went with longevity. This is a decade plus now of hatred. I gave them my vote.
Anthony says FSU fans are still bitter. Jimbo pushed Bobby into retirement and left the program. Well, if he won a natty, if he pushed Bobby out and left without one, I would get it. They are more happy. They are more happy when A&M loses than when we win.
That's hatred. That's pretty good. When the PA guy, okay, when the crowd is sitting on their hands and you're like, man, we need to do something to get them going. Announce the A&M score. Oh, they losing? Of course. Okay, good. Third quarter, South Carolina. Gamecocks 24, Texas A&M 10.
It's the best. It's the best. And it doesn't even matter when it's your rival. You can list a score from another sport. In field hockey news.
Right. Hey, do you think, first off, if A&M has to be bowl eligible, but I'm wondering, do the ACC and SEC even have a game in which there's a bowl alliance? Wouldn't it be nice if
Of course they do.
They could play each other in a bowl game?
Man.
Wouldn't that be nice? Because, the Knowles, I'm still hopeful that the Knowles can, have an 8 as the first digit on their record and only lose one game the rest of the way. I mean, they got at Syracuse, at Miami, the Florida game. I mean, it's not going to be easy for the Knowles. They're not a great team by any stretch. They're pretty good. They got some potential. But, they're 4-3. You could see them finishing 6-6 as easily as you could see them finishing 8-4, 9-3.
Boy, I don't know what the alliances are, but right now, bowl projections from CBS have A&M playing Georgia Southern in the Birmingham Bowl and Florida State playing Utah in the Holiday Bowl.
If you're A&M, do you even accept that bid?
You have to. You have to for the practices, and you know this. They're young, all those players. The NIL money they're getting is for bowl games too, David. They've got to play in the bowl game.
Mark, I think they may accept it only because, A, the conference will give them grief if they don't. Hey, what are you doing there? That's how $1 million or whatever divvied up 13 other ways, you blankety blank. And secondly, you don't need it for the practices. You need it to keep those kids occupied so they don't transfer. One other football note, just want to throw out there. It's not college, it's pro. Have you looked at this week's slate?
In pro football?
Yeah. I'm going to nominate it as this will be the worst week of games of the year. Now, I understand you can have bad teams give you really good games. And we got some buys, obviously, this week. The buys have started. We've got, I think we have 14 games this week.
Right. We only have 2 teams on a bye. It's the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Okay, so we have 15 games this week. Okay, 15 games. Mark, of those 15, do you know how many involve teams with winning records playing each other? Care to take a guess? It's not 0, by the way.
No, I know it's not 0 because the Giants and Seahawks are playing, David, and that's a wild card team versus a first place team because that's what we all expected.
Right.
Coming to week 8, the Giants Seahawks might be the best game on the board.
Mark, I'll challenge you.
I'm going to go 1.
No, that's it. That's the only
I'm going to go
game.
1. I don't know if there's another one on there.
There isn't. It is the only game this week involving 2 teams with a winning record. Now, it does need to be pointed out, there are only 13 teams out of 32 with a winning record 7 games in, and some have only played 6, but you catch my drift. So there's only 13 teams, and the Chiefs have a bye. They're one of the 13. Who else has a bye?
Chargers.
Okay, and 2 of the 13 have buys. So we only have 11 possibilities to put together, but it is staggering. The games. Now, some of them, you got the Rams and the Niners. One's 3-3, the other's 3-4, but they play good games and they hate each other and the whole deal. There's some sexiness in terms of fan bases. The Bears are at the Cowboys, obviously 2 really big fan bases. You got the Battle of Pennsylvania. But, I mean, this is, oof.
Well, here's the other one that I like on the board this week because, it's typical. Most of the spreads are 5 points and less. Most of them are 3 points and less for that matter because it's competitive and it's the National Football League. But do you know who the biggest underdog on the board is this week in terms of point spreads? And remember, the Pittsburgh Steelers I'll give you a clue. Pittsburgh's at Philadelphia. It's not Pittsburgh, and they're a 10-point dog.
Ooh, because I saw 11. So I was going to say Steelers because I saw the Packers open at 10.5. Does that mean Green Bay is now the biggest dog?
It's 11. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are the biggest underdog on the board in the National Football League.
Now, the biggest underdog on the board last week was the Carolina Panthers, and we all saw how that worked out. But just in terms of teams with winning records, now, which in the NFL, I mean, any given Sunday, doesn't really matter. Like, do you think Buffalo's just going to wipe Green Bay?
I do.
Okay. All right. Which doesn't often happen, right? I mean, they're losing games, but they lost by 2 points to Washington. They lost by a score to the Giants. I mean, usually they don't get wiped unless it's week 1, and which Roger says, come on.
And it could end up being, I put it this way. I don't know if they'll cover, but I still think it's going to be around 10 when it's said and done. 11 makes it a little tricky because it is the NFL after all.
Now, the point spreads say this will be a great week of games. The way I'm looking at it says this will be the worst slate of the year. If you actually go by point spreads, you can make the case this might be the best week of games we get all year. Rams and Niners are 1.5. Commanders, Colts are 3. Titans, Texans are 2. Tennessee's just a 2-point favorite at Houston. Patriots, Jets is 1.5. Raiders, Saints is 2. Hell, Mark, the 5-1 Vikings are only a 3.5-point favorite against the Arizona Cardinals at home. Denver, Jacksonville, and London, less than 3. Giants, Seahawks is anywhere from 1.5 to 3. The Dolphins is what? 3.5 in Detroit. The Thursday night game tomorrow night, Baltimore's a 1 to 2 point favorite, depending on where you look against Tampa. I mean, if you go by point spreads, you can make the case, holy mackerel, this is going to be an unbelievable week.
Well, it's going to be a competitive week. That's what it's going to be. Competitive, as we've learned, David, throughout time. does not mean unbelievable. And back to your earlier point, last segment about the NFL and all of the games going to the fourth quarter, nearly 80% of the games going to the fourth quarter within one score, the number of games that have finished within one score. That's all terrific. It doesn't mean it was outstanding football.
Mark, you make it sound like you were at that Denver Chargers game that went to overtime. All right. That sounds like one of the games you might have been referencing. 5 possessions in overtime, nobody got a first down. Yeah. Seth Everett. Next.
WFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex in the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Outstanding. Mac, listening to us in Kosovo this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. That's pretty damn cool. Hi, Seth.
Morning. You still support and follow your Red Wings, right?
I watched last night. Your Devils were very good.
They were great.
Hey.
I was a little pissed off that I was hoping for a game when it was 3-1 and the Wings got a power play. I'm like, all right, make it 3-2 and let's see if we get a game. And
I agree.
8 seconds later, it was 4-1. And I said, well, I think I'll watch the Rangers in Colorado now.
That shot by Sharon Govich was something.
Unbelievable. They were good last night. I mean, my kid's a diehard. My kid is all over the NHL, like literally did his own top 100 for his fantasy draft. Doesn't even look at rankings. He is all in. And he's called, we were talking yesterday because I was buying his plane ticket for Christmas. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm scared about tonight. The Devils are playing really good right now.
It's wild. They look great.
You were firing Lindy Ruff 2 weeks ago, my friend.
They lost the first 2 games. They looked completely flat. And then a switch flipped. I mean, it's wild. They've gone 4-1 since those 2 games. And whatever they're doing, it works. I mean, the talent was there. That was the thing about Lindy Ruff was you look at the roster, you see the talent. You can't deny it. They're should be better.
They're a fast team. They were fun to watch.
All right.
Jesper Bratt.
You're biased, but because everybody who didn't make the playoffs in the East last year was 20 or more points behind the 8 teams who made it.
Yep.
So if you're going to make the playoffs, whose expense?
I don't know.
See, I think it's the Capitals. I'm worried the Caps are old.
Thumped us. They're still very fiery. I don't know.
You know.
I don't know. That's why it's.
I thought it was
going to be a great year.
A pretty good start too.
Who?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's old. I mean,
yeah.
When your best defenseman's 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Malkin's coming out of the chute. What's he got? Like 6 goals already?
Yeah, but when's he going to go on the IR?
Yeah, well, soon. I mean, give it a week.
Gino can pull a ripcord at any point.
I told Jeff Pearlman that going on Miller and Moulton is bigger than the Today Show.
Turns out it's Jeff's next week. Turns out PR guy got confused.
Yeah.
It's next week. Bigger than the Today Show, huh?
He was on the Today Show, and I saw the clip, and getting interviewed by Hoda Kotb. What's better than that?
Wait, hold on a second. He got booked on the Today Show.
Yeah.
For a book about Bo Jackson. Now, I find that interesting. It wasn't about the Lakers book, which was made.
Well, they referenced it. Yeah, they referenced
it. But also, it wasn't even like, to me, what I thought would have gotten him on the Today Show was the USFL book.
Of course.
He wrote about Trump, and Trump was president at the time. I thought that would have got him on the Today Show.
Yep. I know. It was pretty wild. He had to move his recording of Sports with Friends next week because he has a book signing in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing like a 4-stop tour in Alabama.
He's terrified. Do you see the tweet? He's terrified.
Terrified.
He's thinking like 11 people are going to show up.
Yep.
It's possible. Seth, what's your Pellegrino flavor of choice there?
Blood orange, baby.
The blood orange?
Oh, so good. Need one of those in the morning.
Are you a non-coffee person?
Non-coffee, and I did Mountain Dew for 18 years, and I quit cold turkey.
Did you get headaches at first?
No, it was just bad for my health. So
I know, but the caffeine. Do you do caffeine at all anymore?
I have these over-the-counter pure caffeine pills that I take if I really need the jolt. This isn't caffeine. This is nothing.
No, I know it's just water.
Yeah.
When you did,
Which is good. But yeah, these caffeine things, because I won't go down the soft drink route, and coffee doesn't do anything for me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it helped my protest of Starbucks when the Sonics left, because it wasn't a loss.
My mother will still not use the American Express card or go to Subway because they were 2 sponsors of Don Imus, and when the sponsors,
the Rutgers.
And when the sponsors bailed on Imus, my mother bailed on all the sponsors.
There's so much there.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, and on a Wednesday, that means our friend Seth Everett, very busy guy. He's got like 17 podcasts. We only promote 3 of them: Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, we were hard on you last week. We promise we will not be that hard on you this week.
Okay.
Besides, you went to a couple of baseball games.
Baseball games, yeah. Would have gone to 3 if the ALCS had gone 5. I was going to go Monday, and I'm going to the World Series. Isn't that how the Disney World commercial goes?
Something like that. All right,
the World Series is coming. Who's going?
I'm just curious. You've done this for a while, and people have been raving about the atmosphere at Philadelphia, and that's what they all do because it's. But just give us the vibe of what Philly was like. You've been to a bunch of these type of games. You've been to all over the country, all different ballparks. What was Philly like?
It was very electric. It was a lot of fun. I got to Philly about an hour before first pitch, and the place was buzzing. People had been there for 6 hours, just hanging out, tailgating. That complex is conducive to that. It's a wonderful place. It's one of my top 5 favorite ballparks. It's actually the ballpark, not for Game 3 of the NLCS, but it's actually the park that I felt most comfortable taking my little kids when they were little. That was the place that I took them more. I just felt more comfortable with the atmosphere than Citi Field or Yankee Stadium for that matter. I love Philadelphia. I love that organization. The people there are so nice. So many people remembered me. I had about 17 offers to go on Sports with Friends.
Whoa. Hold on
Yeah,
a second.
if I wanted to do baseball episodes for the rest of the decade, I think I have enough people.
And for those that Seth, Mark, it's kind of like, you watched me grind when I was writing columns, and I was always worried what's idea could I write about, days in advance. Seth grinds. Oh man, who can I get as a guest? Are they going to be relevant? Will it be outdated by the time it airs? So I'm surprised, Seth, quite frankly, during the game, you just didn't record 17 Sports with Friends.
I thought about it. Just people were coming on and they said, "Hey, how's your podcast doing? Can I come on?" And then Howard Eskin comes over to me and says, "Hey, I came on a bunch of years ago." How many years ago? I said, "You were like episode 18. We're on 374." It was wonderful. It was wonderful to see everybody. Dan Schulman, the Philadelphia was great. I had a great time at Yankee Stadium also. The crowd was not as electric.
Dan, it's interesting you mentioned Dan Schulman. We have had some prominent announcers here lately give up their great gigs. This is going to be Dan Schulman's last World Series on ESPN Radio, and he gave it up willingly. He wants to cut back on his schedule, and he just wants to do Jays games and college basketball on ESPN. So, and Boog Shambi beginning next year will do the World Series. And of course, we reported yesterday, Jim Nantz, this will be his last Final Four. It'll be in Houston. He went to Houston, the whole deal. And then Ian Eagle's going to take over. So
yeah, Jim Nantz in his retirement is going to finally do the podcast since we've had our longstanding feud. I've hated Jim Nantz since my senior year in high school because I had a jerk of a teacher. We were supposed to go around and talk about what we wanted to be when we grow up. And I said I wanted to go into broadcasting. I didn't even say sports broadcasting at the time. I just said I wanted to go into broadcasting. And I had a Spanish teacher, Mr. Fontanez, who came out and said that I would never live up to Jim Nantz because Jim Nantz went to my high school. And Jim Nantz came out and I don't have the work ethic and I don't have the loyalty and I don't have the dedication and I'll never be Jim Nantz. Jim Nantz. So at 18 years old, I developed a hatred of that human being. And I've heard he's the loveliest person and I can't stand him. And I need to get him on the podcast so we can bury the hatchet.
We?
It's a personal feud. It's I want to ask him about that teacher. I cannot wait. It's all I want to talk to him about. He can have his golf and his NCAA tournament. I just want to talk a little football, and I want to talk about that Spanish teacher.
Jim, we'll get to your 35-year glorious network career in a moment. Let's talk about Mr. Fontanez.
Let's talk about high school Spanish. Apparently, you were a lot better at it than I was, and apparently that was the end of my career at 18. Yep.
CBS, I've been pestering CBS already. Like anytime, Jim Nantz, anytime. If he has a bye week coming up, anytime, and I'll take him anytime.
You have been tough on baseball all year. You've been consistent. You've not deviated one iota. Did the games that you went to, did they change anything? Did you find yourself at all liking the sport again?
Well, what I loved, I love the people. I mean, I walk into Yankee Stadium and Eduardo Perez is at the media entrance. He gives me this giant bear hug in front of like 100 people. It was like going back to like a reunion. That's what it felt like. Seeing all the people that were there in the press box and around, and friends who live all over the country who had traveled for this. That you don't get that if you go on a Tuesday night in May.
Sure.
You don't get all those people. So there were dozens and dozens of media people. The only person I missed on Saturday, I got there a little bit late because of the stupid George Washington Bridge. I missed Dusty. I didn't get a chance to talk to Dusty one-on-one. He had texted me and said if I get here by a certain time, I could come down and talk to him, and I didn't. So that's my goal for the World Series for Game 3. I'm going to get there as early as humanly possible. Plus, it gets me out of trick or treating. That's fantastic. And so go World Series. Why don't we schedule this in December?
Whoa!
Hold on.
Whoa!
Hold on.
Yeah,
I know it's work, but you get out of trick. What was your normal role? Were you taking the kids?
Well, it's supposed to rain. It's supposed to rain, and I have a 14 and 11-year-old that aren't going to want to walk with me. So it's just going to be standing there holding a bag or something. No thanks. I'll go to Philadelphia.
Hold on a second. How many more times are they going to want to trick or treat?
Oh, I'm surprised that we're even doing it this year.
Well, then don't you have to? This could be the last one.
No, I think last year was my last one.
Hey, come now. Hold on a second. All right, that 14-year-old
devil is your daughter going as.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we're going to dress the dog as the devil. The dog will be the devil.
Really?
I don't even know what their costumes are. One of them wants to be a minion or something.
Speaking of which, I'm bringing a costume to the Monday Night Football booth.
No, you're
nice.
I am.
Grimace?
No.
Wow.
No. Might be Wazowski.
You didn't even hesitate.
Okay. Well, I mean, come on. My body type. I mean, it's either Manatee or Grimace, Seth. I mean, that's what I should go as.
I heard Grimace retired.
Now,
Didn't Grimace retire from the
No, they're
McDonald's
retiring
universe?
the McRib, supposedly. This is the last go around for that. Okay.
Yeah,
I think this is the fourth last go around.
Well, he said if Jim Nantz isn't calling the NCAA tournament, I'm out.
done. Right.
All I know is I should have bought a few of those adult Happy Meals because apparently you can sell the toys for thousands of dollars on eBay right now.
No way, really?
Yeah. So I'm going as a character from Monsters, Inc. I'm not going to show up in costume. I'm going to bring it. Okay. And then I'm just going to, about an hour before kickoff, just going to slide in, put it on, and then just walk into the booth.
Is this all of the spotters or is this a Moulton solo effort?
Well, I told them I'm doing it. And so I put the pressure on them. I will say Buck and Aikman, all right, are going to be a little different on Monday. That I can assure you. All right. They are going to Halloween it up to some extent. That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
Well, you leave Fox and go to ESPN, all hell breaks loose.
That's right.
Just trying to have fun,
Well,
Mark.
If
The
it's
last game of the
ESPN,
week.
could they be Star Wars people now or Marvel people? Because it's, Disney, keep it in the family.
Sure. I mean, I don't think Monsters Inc.'s in the family, but, whatever. Hey, all right. I'm going to get serious on you for 13 seconds.
Astros in 6.
12 seconds. Would you make major changes if you were Hal Steinbrenner with the Yankees? Yankee fans seemed to be at the point, and Cashman's your guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know me, I would have fired him 8 years ago.
I know.
But would you make some major changes? Would you at least sit down with Brian and go, Brian, I love you. I'm going to keep you. But, dude, you need to do some things differently.
No, what I would have done, I still can't get over the fact that Judge was unsigned going into this season. I still think that's the failure. And I think that he's gone. I think that listening to him, he sounds like he's gone.
He does.
So then it's going to be a big deal. As far as the manager, I've been very adamant about this, that unless you're bringing in a manager who's going to change things up and do his own thing, these guys are pawns. You could replace Aaron Boone with Rocco Baldelli or Brian Snitker. They're all the same people. They're executing what the front office sets forward. So Aaron Boone's just doing his job. Aaron Boone is not, arbitrarily making decisions that have hurt this team. Every move the Yankees made was by design. And the fact that they struck out 50 times, Aaron Boone didn't strike out once. The reality of it is major changes. If you want to change the front office just because he's been there for 2 decades, I think that's okay. I mean, he can write his tell-all and come on the podcast. But the reality of it is sorry, did that slip? Did I say that out loud? But the reality of it is I think the mistake that was made by the Yankees was not signing Judge. He's as good as gone. The people in San Francisco, they say they're sparing no expense, and he's going to get a big contract.
So you think it's done? You guys both think it's done? You don't think that?
He, 23 minutes after the game was over, gave an interview in which he referred to the Yankees in the past tense 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah. I think his agent has already talked to the Giants, and they have a pretty good idea as to what the offer in the desk already is.
Is it going to be 8 and 320?
Yes. I think it's going to be 8 and 3 1/4.
Yep. And I think they sold him on how they adore superstars. And if he wants to be the clean superstar, he can go to the place where Bonds, was a legend. I mean, Bonds walked on water there. Aaron Judge would love San Francisco.
Now it would be
like
such
in that ballpark.
Yeah, I know. But once you get paid and you're not batting for your contract,
yep.
Okay, then it doesn't matter that you're going to lose 10 homers a year because of the ballpark that you play in. And he
That's
will
fair.
lose a lot of homers. For a guy who hits the ball to deep right center, that is the deepest part of that ballpark.
Yep.
So he will lose a lot of production. I mean, if he had this 62 home run year, if he played half his games in that ballpark, it might have been a 40. Yes.
Yeah, 45.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to lose a lot of production. But, Mark, if I paid you $325 million, but I told you your ratings were going to be cut in half, would you care?
Not one bit.
I remember
one bit.
I took a boat ride out there in that water. It was super fun.
Did you get a ball? Get a home run ball?
No, it wasn't during a game. We did a pregame spot from it. I got a little seasick.
Question: would you leave? What? You really?
No, I'm just trying to make you laugh.
Seth,
trying to make you laugh.
You did.
Would you leave the kayak, by the way, to get a ball? If you were kayaking and someone else was there and the ball's right there, but unless you leave the kayak, the other person's going to get the ball. Would you leave the kayak and get wet for the ball?
That's easy. Me or a normal person?
You.
Me, no. A normal person, sure.
I'd be in that water instantly.
I'd never get in the kayak to get in the water there.
I got in the kayak to do a TV appearance. I did a SNY appearance, and we recorded it in the kayak. That's what I remember.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Text Stream. Follow him on Twitter, Seth_Everett. All right, you got a minute here. What do you got?
Sports with Friends. Baseball historian Peter Golenbach wrote 60 books, 25 New York bestsellers, wrote The Bronx Zoo with Sparky Lyle. He was booked a long, long time ago. And Peter Golenbach came on the show. He was remarkable. Hall of Justice, we're reviewing Black Adam, which is a mishmash of a movie. And Tech Stream, we did electric vehicles. I gallivanted all over the Northeast by car. How could I have done that if I had an all-electric car?
A lot of those questions were asked down here, Seth, after Hurricane Ian, wondering how do we charge that car when there's no electricity? So
we discussed that also. Yep.
Interesting. By the way, what in 10 seconds, what does mishmash of a movie mean?
They catered to The Rock demands. Like he wanted to have certain things in the movie, and they did it for him. Okay. And it compromised your story just to placate this guy.
Gotcha. That's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Have a great rest of your week, my friend.
See ya. It's always Urban Meyer, by the way.
Miller and Moulton. Boy, could you imagine if Syracuse would have pulled that out, how he would have been? It would have been.
No. He just started following college football again.
Part of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So there's only a couple of games where they could pull off this A&M Florida State. And I don't know if the Quest Bowl, whatever it used to be, is too big for that game. But the Quest Bowl, yeah, that's the old Outback, right? Yeah, that's the old Outback. So they're not good enough for that. So I don't think there's anywhere else where we could get an ACC-SEC game.
I guess is the best chance for these two to meet would have to be in the playoff.
I'd put them in the Outback Bowl. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, not this year, but
but also we would do it running the Outback Bowl. We know we'd get a sellout.
Yeah.
Adam, honestly, there's some staggeringly weird fascination with getting a baseball at a Major League Baseball game. It just is. People will go to unbelievable lengths to get their hands on a baseball at a baseball game, even though they can go buy it for a few bucks.
You guys hear me?
Barely.
Barely?
Yes.
What about now?
Still barely.
Better.
There's something wrong with this microphone.
Yep, there is.
I would not hesitate to jump in that water.
There you go.
You would regret it for the rest of your life if you didn't. Be like, wow, I was too much of a.
I don't know about that.
I was too much of a to not jump in that water and get that ball. And I got to watch that other guy get it and celebrate in front of my face.
If you remember that for the rest of your life will be very unfulfilling.
Well, I mean, if you're a sports fan, those who are aware of that, the fact that you can say that you did that, that's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Well, now I'll say this: it may depend on what the baseball is. If it was some home run of some consequence.
If it's BP,
I've always loved being able to get, and I've gotten so many pucks at games when I wasn't doing broadcast anymore. There's nothing better than giving the ball to someone else. When you gave that ball to that girl, that made that girl's flipping day. When Moulton and Cassie and I years ago were at a Rays Yankees game, David got a foul ball, gave it to a kid.
Had to chase down the foul ball too, Felipe. Had to show, and they made fun of me for 10 years. But for me, showed unbelievable quickness.
Oh, like a cat.
Yeah. And it was true. I'm big and at the time middle-aged, slow, but not with that foul ball, baby. Saw it coming off the bat. I said, uh-oh, it's going to be close. Was already on the move. Was on my toes. Rattling around in the seats. Grabbed it. Plus, we were there on a freebie. We were eating and drinking.
We were in the club. They took care of us.
That lawyer section, right? Whatever that law firm was, the section.
Bank, I thought, but yes.
Was it? Okay.
But yeah, I know of what you speak. Huh.
All right, 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on a hump day and the last one of October. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 4 weeks ago today, 4 weeks ago today. Been a hell of a 4 weeks, hasn't it?
Really has. As we're still digging out.
Some places will be 4 years from now, unfortunately.
Very much so.
But 4 weeks ago today, final week of September on the Wednesday. Oof. So hope for the many of you affected that things are slowly better. Slowly. We hope that we can inform and entertain a little bit and make things just a little bit better in our small way. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And some of the ways, Mark, that I feel that we contribute to maybe some people's enjoyment, maybe not, is we bring the snark so you don't have to. You get to remain really good, nice people. Your family loves you. You've got multiple friends, the whole deal. We provide the snark. You get to comment about it and then, keep it all on the inside. Like our poll question today, Mark. On the snark, on the Miller and Moulton snark scale, not the snark scale, on the Miller and Moulton snark scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it?
An 11. This is such an a-hole question. It's not even funny. It is so Miller and Moulton. And David came up with the question, but I loved it. So it's not like I'm not responsible for the snarkiness here because I could have just poo-pooed this question in a nanosecond. He did it to me before the show. I had something. He goes, no, it's stupid. Okay, we move on. He had this during the show, and I almost lost it. I thought it was a great question. Jimbo's going to win going away. But which fan base hates which fan base hates the head coach that won them a national championship more? Florida with Urban, FSU with Jimbo. Right now, 72% of you say it's FSU with Jimbo.
See, I think that's recency bias.
It is, and we're getting so many comments that are along those lines. I mean, literally got a text that said, bring Urban home.
Whoa! You've got to track that person down. I need names, phone numbers, email addresses. Hold on a second.
Another text, diehard Gator, lifelong season ticket holder, would take another Urban or an Urban type in a heartbeat. Winning is greater than everything.
Hold on a second. If I'm splitting hairs here, would take another Urban. Does that translate to I would take Urban back? I don't think it does.
He walks right up to the line, David. His toe is, it's definitely Saturday, not Sunday, because he's only got 1 foot in bounds, if you know what I mean.
Correct. That's a 2-pointer, sir. Your toe was on the line. That's a long 2. You did not say you would take him back. All right. You said I would take another Urban, someone like him.
Right.
Lane Kiffin. But that's what he meant. Buried in Bourbon in our Twitch chat room. Urban not being at Ohio State anymore has helped heal the wound. Helped He didn't say it healed it.
Right.
Right. By the way,
they're willing to accept the national championships now and just not give Urban credit. At some point, someday, and I think where we get this from is just very simple. When they have the anniversary game,
right?
Every team brings back their national champion teams on the 10th, 15th, 20th, 25th anniversaries. That's what you do. You bring them out, you honor them, everybody claps. It's part of what is college football.
Alabama, when they hosted Texas A&M in prime time, honored the 2012 national championship team. They had 30-something guys from the team that were there.
If Jimbo was out there to celebrate the Knowles national championship, would he still be booed?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Right. Well, we know the answer. He wouldn't even be invited.
Well,
and I don't think...
Can you honor the team and not invite? I mean, first off, there's a good chance they're playing that day, and so he can't come because he's coaching. But, I mean, if you're Florida State, I mean, next year's the 10th anniversary, Next year's 10th anniversary of the 2013 team. I mean, they are going to honor the 2013 national championship team at a game next year. I mean, who knows? It might even be the Miami game. They'll want a packed house, the whole deal. It's usually at a little lesser game. You might use it, I don't know,
homecoming type thing.
Right. It's a game that you're pretty sure you're going to win, and who knows? It might sell you 15 tickets. Okay, but next year's the 10th anniversary. You don't invite them? Knowing full well he can't go because he's coaching, but you don't invite him. Also, Mark, next year's 15 years for the 2008 national championship team at Florida.
Here's the problem. Urban's got nothing going on.
Right.
Urban could make it.
Yes. Yes. And I know they sold their place in Jacksonville, but I think they have a place in Sarasota.
Doesn't matter. He can do his Fox show. He can get on a plane, and he can
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And knowing Fox and the way they are, I mean, heck, they might even do the show from there and say we're here because Urban and the Gators are being honored, 15 years national champion, blah, blah, blah. They do stuff like that.
Yeah, not in an SEC game.
Well,
it's a nice thought, David.
Who knows? Maybe it's a weak schedule week.
Right.
They look at it and they go, well, we don't really have much.
It's not like Florida's going to schedule a Big Ten team for a home and home, so we're not going to get that either.
No, that's true. They're not going to be Auburn and do Penn State home and home. That's true. They're not quite there yet from a scheduling standpoint. Neither's Georgia.
No.
I mean, they did the Notre Dame home and home, but for the most part, they're doing the neutral site games, and by neutral site we mean Atlanta. But yeah, right. So, all right. So we think Urban next year gets invited. Let me ask you this, and he would show. What will the reception be?
Tepid at best, if not booze.
90,000 people. And the head coach of the 2008 National Championship, Florida Gators, Urban Meyer.
Student section would boo.
And they were 5.
That's why. And then I think the rest of the crowd would be like a 6-footer for par.
That's positive, though.
See, no.
Well, it's better. That's
just not booing.
Okay. I think the reaction would be negative, more negative than positive. I think it'd be at least 60-40, if not probably 2-1 negative.
And Tritton makes a great point. Would they announce Urban right after they announced Tebow?
No, they'd announce him right before, and then if it's not going well, they'd go, and finally, the star quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. Who knows? Is he in the College Football Hall of Fame yet, or has he not been gone long enough? They wait a long time to put.
They do.
Too long, if you ask me. So here's another one. I mean, because Urban may have coached the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I mean, when was his last year with Ohio State? 2018? I mean, he's got to get in the College Football Hall of Fame here pretty soon, right? I mean, because whenever you're eligible, he's got to go. I mean, come on now.
Well, they wait thinking he might take another job. I don't know if they operate it that way, David. I don't know.
Well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame has. They hesitated for a long time, like with Parcells, and he kept taking jobs. And they got burned because they didn't like the fact. I mean, Joe Gibbs, when he came back and did the second go-around in Washington, he was already in the Hall of Fame. They thought once he went to NASCAR, they're like, wow, he's serious about this giving up football thing.
So I would think with Urban, there might be some. With coaches, I could see where there would be a little hesitation with a younger coach thinking that he may jump back into the game.
But, I mean, that's a no-doubter, right? I mean, forget the Jacksonville Jaguar. That's the
What's a College Football Hall of Fame? All the guy ever did was win. Everywhere.
Right.
Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, Ohio State. No.
3 national championships, 2 different schools. I mean, we could get really dirty here and bring up, the whole Mount Rushmore of SEC coaching. Did he coach long enough to get on it? But, he did win 2 national championships in the SEC. How many head football coaches in the SEC won more national championships? Well, you got Nick and you got Coach Bryant. And then we'll sit back and I'll take your calls. I don't think it's many more. You might have to go back black and white days. LSU had the 58 title, but didn't win another one again until 2003. And, Neyland, seriously. LSU never won, or Ole Miss didn't win a national title, I don't think. Because, people held it against them as to the state and the politics and the whole deal. 63 team probably should have won it. If we did a Mount Rushmore SEC coach, now, I'd put Spurrier on it. He changed the conference. I know he only won 1, but to me, I would put Spurrier on it. But, okay, that's 3. Nick, Coach Bryant, Steve Spurrier. Your 4th choice, SEC Mount Rushmore.
And you'd have to go back a long way to find somebody else.
Right.
Are you going to pick a Dooley? Are you,
right. There you go.
Long time.
Right.
A lot of winning, 1 national championship.
Right. And by the way, do we have to leave that spot open for the guy in Athens right now? Do we have to just sit here and go, nope, sorry, we got to save that seat? Well, he's not here eating dinner. Yeah, I know. We got to save that seat.
But it looks like he'll be here eventually.
Right. Scott has won, and he's won an SEC title. They're going to be here another 10, 15 years. Hell, he's going to move the cocktail party out of Jacksonville. I don't know if that helps or hurts his case.
Would hurt his case. It would, because that's going to honk people off, and that's going to happen. At least Miller and Moulton think it's going to happen. At the very least, it's going to be a home and home and then a couple of games in Jacksonville. And we think that way, and that's only if Jacksonville starts ponying up some serious money. Not this piddly $2-3 million a team they're giving now.
Yeah. Who wants to play a football game for $3 million? That's a waste of time. I wouldn't even get on the bus for that.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, we'll talk some more football, but we'll go to Sundays and comments that a quarterback made on the other side. Thanks for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bourbon Meyer? I did not follow that. Yes, average Vikings fan, we do. I think average Vikings fan, they're going to do both. I think they're giving Jacksonville a heads up that you're going to need to pony up more money, probably double the money, just to keep the game 2 out of every 4 years.
Adam, I say the Jags win this week. I think they can score 15.
30 seconds.
I don't buy it.
Here we go.
Just to sell more of those god-awful sandwiches.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour in the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question: which fan base hates their national championship winning coach more? Gators towards Urban, Knowles towards Jimbo. Jimbo winning by more than 2-1. I cry recency bias. Since Urban's been gone 12 years and Jimbo's only been gone, what, 5? This year 6? 2016 or 17 is last year. I thought it was 17. But, you know, it's been a long time if you're a Knowles fan. You're like, we haven't been good in a while. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
Nope.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote accordingly.
All right. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers made his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show and trashed his teammates a little bit, saying we had so many mental errors and mistakes. Guys who are making, it's not the kind of football that we're used to playing over the years. Guys that are making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing. Got to start cutting some reps. You have any problem with Aaron Rodgers wanting players playing less because they're playing badly?
I do have a problem with him saying it publicly. Here's my guess. My guess is Rodgers has said this privately, and he said it before Sunday, and the coaches haven't listened to him. So now he feels compelled to go public and embarrass them and the guys who, in theory, their reps are going to be cut. Because, well, Rodgers is losing patience. But listen, and there are a lot of people out there who are turning on Tom Brady and are glad that finally, after 20 years, Tom Brady's having some adversity again. Has Brady said anything bad about any of his teammates publicly?
Not even close.
No.
Actually, quite the opposite.
So I do think that, I don't think this works. Put it this way. I don't think this works. Now, I will say it's a young team in a lot of spots, and there aren't a lot of guys that can necessarily raise their voices. But I could see a veteran wide receiver or two. I could even see his buddy Bakhtiari, who's not even on the field, going, dude, what are you doing? Come on now. This isn't how we operate. Keep this in-house.
Now, somehow the Packers are listening because the rumors are out there that they are in desperate need and they are actively searching for a wide receiver, which is something that the Green Bay, but it's something they don't do, David.
I understand, but come on now. If you're the Packers, you and I have been saying if you're Jason Light, you've got to have a real sense of urgency because you have to treat this year like this is your last one with Brady. Well, if you're the Packers, are you really sure how many more you got with number 12? And, I keep saying, remember, plan B in Tampa is Blaine Gabbert. Well, plan B in Green Bay is Jordan Love. Okay?
Neither of those plan Bs sound very good because there's not a plan B in the NFL that sounds good for any team.
So, and plus, quite frankly, it's obvious. I mean, the Packers made some personnel decisions and how many of them were cap related or what have you. And this is how we do things. Well, it's not working. I mean, it's not. Their wide receiving core is not good. And the couple of good ones that they have also haven't been able to stay in the lineup. And you and I love Sammy Watkins, and he's from our backyard, so to speak. Sammy doesn't stay healthy. Now, when Sammy's healthy, he's an impact player. He's been healthy for 2 games this year. I mean, he needs help. He can't be your number 1. He has to be oh, wow, he's healthy. Wow, well, this makes a pretty good number 2 or number 3. But, yeah, they need a dude.
But the whole taking out the team on the McAfee show and saying guys don't play right, because that's not even saying the offense. That's basically, who, and I'm sure he's calling out the offense, but that is just merely saying that I think he said on 20% of the plays we're not executing. At some point, and I didn't hear the interview. I'm just going by the quotes. I hope McAfee asked, out of those 20%, how many of those are you?
Yeah, you think he asked that?
No. But to compare the two, Brady, at least at his press conferences, every time, I've got to play better. He has included himself when he says that.
In fact,
Rodgers has maybe done that once.
Right, and he has said that first, actually. Brady says, well, it starts with me. All right. And we didn't reach the end zone last week. I'm the quarterback. That starts with me. He didn't throw Mike Evans under the bus.
No.
Because also, he knows Mike Evans is a stud. He dropped the ball that he might never drop again in his career. When things are going badly, that stuff happens. Now, I do think it's a little different in Tampa. They're in the NFC South. They're looking around going, man, things are really bad. I still think we win this division. Green Bay's 3-4, 3 games back in the loss column with the Vikings. They're going to Buffalo this week. They're staring 3-5 in the face. Now, the Niners were 3-5 last year, and were 6 minutes from the Super Bowl. But they did have to finish 7-2 in their last 9 regular season games. And they had to win their last game of the year to get in, or else they would have been out. They would have lost the tiebreaker at 9-8. If you're Green Bay, I know it's the NFC and there's only 5 winning teams, but barring the unforeseen, you're going to be 3-5. Do the simple math. That's 6-3 minimum to get to 9.
An 11-point underdog this week at Buffalo. And they still have to play the Cowboys. They still have to play the Eagles. They still have to play the Rams and the Vikings once more.
Here's what I would like to see them do. And in a way, I think this is a blow to Rodgers' ego. And I would not be blaming Aaron, but I would be saying to him, I go, listen, we have to play to our strengths. Our offensive line is struggling to pass block, particularly our tackles, and our wide receivers are not up to par. We've got pretty good tight ends, at least one of them, and our 2 best players on offense, not named Aaron Rodgers, are probably our 2 running backs. We got to use them, which means we're going to be running the ball a little bit more. It's going to protect our offensive line. It's going to set up play action a little bit better. We should be able to pass block a little bit better for you. Should help the wide receivers maybe get open, and we're going to play to our strengths.
Doesn't he have to play this a little bit the way Brady played it in New England? A lot of screen passes, a lot of, they're going to have to matriculate down the field. There aren't going to be a lot of big plays in this offense.
I'm stunned that the running backs haven't been a bigger role. I thought they were going to be a huge role in this offense. I thought the 2 guys, in fact, my preseason prediction was those 2 guys were going to catch 90 passes. Dillon and Jones. We're going to catch a minimum of 90, and I thought they might catch 100. I thought Jones might catch 70 balls. But also,
still might, by the way. He's their second leading receiver.
But, ask a Packers fan. They've had a lot of short yardage situations lately where they're throwing the ball. Well, that can work when you've got better personnel like you've had in past years. You don't have that personnel now. Well, run the damn ball. 3rd and 1.5 yards. What's wrong with running it? By the way, you may have, depending on where you are, you might have 2 cracks at it. They really going to stop you? 2 cracks, you need 5 feet? A.J. Dillon's a load. You sure we can't move the chains here? Now, I will say the defense, which was playing pretty darn well in the start of the season, defense should be playing a little bit better than it is. Taylor Heineke had a pretty good day against them. They allowed Daniel Jones and the Giants to have 2 long drives in the second half and go right down the field and score 2 touchdowns when they had a double-digit lead. That should not be happening with that defensive personnel.
But at the end of the day, it's not on the defense because the offense is not getting enough numbers.
No, it's not.
They allowed 23 to Washington. If you said that and told Green Bay they're going to score 23, Green Bay would go, worst we're going to do in that game is win 24-23. The worst we're going to do.
We'll say, though, they gave up 23 playing with a 14-3 lead. I mean, that defense played with a lead and gave it up and then some. Same against the Giants. Second half, both games.
Miller and Moulton, that shows just how bad their offensive line is over the course of a game. They cannot continue to play, and they're getting beat up in the second half by defenses, and then their defense runs out of gas. The good, the bad, and the ugly, all that stuff, it's next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
RCB, that intermediate pass is the tight end that they don't have, though. Oh, there you go. 9:33 on Get Up. What should the Lakers do with Russell Westbrook? They've played 3 of 82 games. Let's start figuring that out.
He is actually, like, statistically the worst player in the NBA. But it's weird because he's also Russell Westbrook.
I don't know what that even means.
It means that he's also a Hall of Famer. That's exactly what that means.
Hall of Famers get old, too.
He's the worst player in the NBA, yet he's Russell Westbrook.
Bucks do need to run the ball more, but
Oh, my God. A Missouri radio anchor had to go live on the air to report the St. Louis school shootings while knowing her daughter was inside the school. Oh, my God.
Wow, they couldn't find anybody else.
Did you guys see that one of Mac Jones's interceptions hit a wire on the
Well,
ESPN?
we're not sure about that.
It might have
video.
It grazed.
Maybe.
Been waiting for that to happen for a long time, as low as they get those things.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's really close. We took a look at a bunch of replays. It's really close. Does it graze it? Was it altered?
Well, if it grazes it, it's hard to say it wasn't altered.
I understand.
Even in the slightest.
It's really difficult to tell. Yeah, average Vikings fan. I'm with Mark. I think this is another ploy with the McRib.
Oh, 100%.
This is a wrestler in his 50s, and we're going to keep wheeling him out until his 70s.
Speaking of which, Adam, are you okay with The Rock's daughter wrestling? Apparently she made her debut last night. Or the night before, or when, I don't know.
WWE?
I saw it in the Post. That's my guess.
Speaking of the Post, did you see the story? They gunned down this poor groom in Mexico. They thought turns out that they were really after some other guy in the neighboring town who was also getting married at the same time. They gunned down the wrong groom.
Oh God.
Oh, part of the whole drug cartel thing. They gunned down some electrician, 32 years old.
10 seconds. The Philly Fanatic is the best mascot in sports.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 minutes until we're out of here. Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Talk a little Bucks with Roy Cummings tomorrow. Talk a little Dolphins with Matt Canada or a colleague of his at Pro Football Network. And the return of Dr. Roto. His dad died a little over a week ago. Needless to say, it's why he wasn't on last week. Our condolences to Doc and his family. And he'll be back tomorrow. An hour, before this, 8:38, to answer your fantasy football questions. I got to be honest, Mark. I'm not the fantasy guy, but I would think this has got to be one of the toughest damn fantasy years ever.
It's been strange, to say the very least. And every week's a little different. I've had a little more luck in DFS than I've had in season-long things, so thank goodness for that, because there's more money in DFS. But it has been an interesting year, to say the least.
So Dr. Roto with your fantasy football Q&A tomorrow.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1776 today. This guy named Franklin left for France to get some support from the French for the American Revolution. Seems to be big.
It was a fruitful trip. The bottom line is, don't know if we win that sucker without their help. And if we didn't get their help, even if we won it, it would have taken a lot longer.
Today in 1861, the Pony Express ends after 19 months. In 1863, the Football Association forms in England, standardizing soccer, splitting with rugby. Today in 1881 was the gunfight at the OK Corral. You've all seen at least one version of it in a movie. I love these old world championships in baseball because today in 1887, the World Championship Baseball Series was done when the Detroit Wolverines from the National League beat the St. Louis Browns of the American Association 10-5. They had no idea. One year they played 3 games. One year they played 9 games. The next 15 games. Today in 49, Harry Truman increases minimum wage from 40 cents an hour to 75 cents an hour.
Whoa.
Right.
It's a big jump.
Damn right. 1950, Branch Rickey resigns as the Dodgers president, the Brooklyn Dodgers president. Today in 51, Marciano beat Lewis by TKO in the 8th round at the Madison Square Garden. Today in 65, Queen Elizabeth decorates the Beatles with medals, making them members of the Order of the British Empire. She'd outlive half of them.
Mm-hmm.
George Foreman wins gold today at the Mexico City Games in 68.
And which made him very popular after he won. Remember the 68 Olympics, Black Pride, Black Panther, the 2 track and field athletes with the Black Power thing. George Foreman, obviously big. And also this is the heavyweight division. This is one of the gold medals of the Summer Olympics at the time. Now it doesn't even make major network television. They don't even show boxing. All right. This was one of the top 3 gold medals of the Summer Olympics. Foreman wins it and grabs an American flag and walks around the ring with it. Made him very popular.
Today in 72, guided tours of Alcatraz started. I will say it doesn't make any sense that you would tour a prison, but if you are ever in San Francisco, it is of all the tours I've been on, and I've been lucky enough to travel this continent and Europe, it is one of the coolest tours I've ever been on in my life.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing. Self-guided tour, you wear the headsets, and you got people who stayed in Alcatraz talking to you through your headphones. No. It's spectacular.
Okay, after the tour, do you believe that the 2 guys got off the island? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Happy birthday to Trinidad and Tobago. Today in 1776, they became a republic. And that's about all we got today, David, because I realized that there's 2 pieces of paper to this sheet, and only one of them made it from the house to the studio.
That's how we roll here at Miller and Moulton.
What the hell?
All right. I'll throw a couple things out at you. Whitney Houston's first #1 hit was today in 1985, Saving All My Love for You. The Patriot Act was signed 21 years ago by President Bush. But Mark, I don't normally do this, but a pop culture person is celebrating a birthday today. I would like everybody to guess, how old do you think Pat Sajak is?
70.
How old?
76. Or
wow.
60. Yeah, he's old. He's been doing that show forever.
I understand, but he's at his Botox. He's dyed the hair. He's in pretty good shape. Mark, he's 76 years old today. That's amazing. I don't know. See, to me, I look at him, I just think a little younger. Now, I think late 60s, right around 70. But, I mean, he's closer to 80 than 70. 76 years old. That's all.
Seth MacFarlane's birthday. It's who else was it? Keith Urban. There was a few other ones. I don't know what the hell happened today.
Now, okay, I'm being very serious. Who looks older, Pat Sajak or Keith Urban? Because Keith Urban has had a hard run.
If you were to just at first glance, it might
Mm-hmm.
be Keith Urban. When you stare at the Botox a little bit longer, you'd figure it out. But I get the point that you're making.
I mean, Keith Urban, who, is not even 50? Maybe.
Oh, he's in his 50s. He's 55 years old today.
Okay. Yeah. He's gone at it a little harder than Pat Sajak. That's all I'm saying. If you look closely, you can tell.
All those years with Vanna, you don't age.
Not only that, you're working 1 day a week. That's the other thing people don't realize. You're taping all 6 shows in 1 day. That's it. I mean, think about it. It's 22 minutes of television. All right. And then they bring the people in. They bring them out. They go. They change their wardrobe. They come back out. Boom. There you go. I don't even know if you have to wear 6 different outfits. You could probably just wear 3. You know,
Then go again.
Monday could be Thursday. Tuesday could be Friday. And Wednesday could be Saturday. I mean, Mark, I wore 2 blazers in Southwest Florida. I did television in Southwest Florida for almost 5 years. I had a blue blazer and a black blazer. Those were the only 2 blazers I ever had. No viewer, we could talk about how many viewers we had, but no viewer ever pointed that out to me. And trust me, they point a lot of things out.
They do. They certainly do. Today was the day when, in a very strange version, and my apologies to our audience. I promise I'll do better tomorrow. I did that in the middle of the day yesterday, had it all printed out, took it to the car, and just thought it was all right there.
See what happens? You do that kind of serious show prep. It's the broadcasting gods coming back and hitting Miller and Moulton going, come on, you guys don't do this show properly.
Can I just say, a year ago today was the day that I hung up the boots on my college career, because last year is when I started working here.
Look at that.
Made it a year.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. A, that he didn't quit. B, that we didn't fire him.
We don't fire anybody.
Well, no. I mean, nobody else is foolish enough to get up and work with us 2 yahoos. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to admit, he's falling asleep during the show.
Yep.
All right.
Regularly.
He does forget things. I mean, keeps talking about the NBA. We keep telling him how much our audience doesn't like the NBA. But we think how much he's grown. The pod today was hockey.
I mean, I didn't know a lick of hockey before I joined.
And still might not now.
Oh, no, I know more about football, too, so that helps.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Cape Coral via Tampa Bay for the good, where Hurricane Ian wiped out an entire health clinic. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made a donation that turned a shipping container into medical sitting room, and they helped donate a new mobile medical room to the Cape Coral Health Clinic. So good on the Bucs. Way to go.
Nice.
For the bad, these all are close to home today. Because I couldn't go there. So we go to Inglewood for the bad, where I don't know about you, David, but if I had an alligator in my yard, I'd call somebody. But this guy was trying to remove the alligator from his property by himself. And I'll be damned, but the 4-foot alligator bit him.
You mean the gator went all gator?
The gator went all gator. The alligator bit his arm. Then they had to get the trappers. They do say in the article that people with concerns about the alligator should call the FWC toll-free nuisance alligator hotline. I love that we live in a state that has a nuisance alligator hotline. 866 FWC Gator. That's fantastic.
I'm glad they worked gator into the number. I think that's
Is that a bike?
fantastic. You know what? That could have been, I mean, you need 10 digits, right? Gators bite, in theory, could have been the number.
Right.
1 gator's bite. That's it. Our number, 1 gator's bite.
You know what? I had a local story, but we're going to go for the big boy. For the ugly, we go to Indonesia, where J-Ra was a rubber tapper in her mid-50s. She went to work on Sunday at the rubber plantation, and then she didn't come home. Search parties were sent out to find her. A day later, villagers found a python with what appeared to be a large stomach.
No.
They killed the 16-foot-long snake to find the woman's body pretty much intact inside. It's not the first time that a python has swallowed a person whole in Indonesia. In fact, 2 similar deaths were reported in the country between 2017 and 2018.
You want to know why I have a problem with snakes? Some of them can eat you whole.
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 Well, I was just coming home from work when the python ate her.
I mean, and here's the other thing, which we've never heard a story of. Like, you've heard the story of the sharks who are trying to eat the people and you punch them in the nose. Okay, there have actually been people that have been swallowed by whales and they damn near tickle them. Okay, like the roof of their mouth, and the whale opens back up. We've never heard a story about, well, the python had me, like to my waist. And then, I tickled them under the armpit and I was able to get away. And we've never heard that story.
Let me just ask a very simple question, David. Based on that story, is Indonesia off the vacation planning list for David Moulton?
Mark, I don't know if I get my wife to Indiana. You're wondering about Indonesia.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, October the 26th, 2022.
They pay you to kill those suckers in the Everglades.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
There's a reason why. We got no baseball till Friday. We have no Maction until next week. So we have no college football and we have no baseball as an option. Obviously, we have to wait till tomorrow for the Ravens and the Bucks. All right. So that leaves us with NBA, NHL, baby.
Woo! Magic are on the road taking on the Cavs tonight. And the Heat are on the road taking on the Blazers.
The 4-0 Blazers, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Only 3 hockey games tonight, but Tampa plays one of them, and they're on TNT. How about that? ESPN wouldn't put them on last night. TNT puts them on tonight. I mean, they have gone to 3 finals in a row. TNT going Rangers, Islanders early. Gotta like the Islanders tonight, don't you? Rangers left a lot on the table last night against Colorado.
I agree.
They played that game hard. And so 7:30 TNT, Rangers, Islanders. 10 o'clock tonight, the Lightning and the Anaheim Ducks, who are 1-4-1. So Tampa needs to get 2 points.
The early game tonight. And then are they actually giving us? Oh, of course not. For a second, I thought the Heat and Portland would be on, but no. The second half of that doubleheader is Lakers and Nuggets.
Of course.
The 0-3 Lakers taking on the 2-2 Nuggets.
That's right. Well, you got to keep televising the Lakers till they win a game. And then once they win a game, well, you got to keep televising the Lakers because they won a game. See how that works?
Yes, I do. And it won't change anytime soon.
Lakers losing by 15 tonight.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure many of the shows will talk about those Lakers. It's one of the things that we don't do on this show and probably won't do anytime soon. Enjoy the great day ahead. We've got a football Thursday tomorrow night with NFL action. Until then, Miller and Moulton. Be safe, everyone. We'll talk to you in the morning.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles